Welcome everyone to February Low Ink of 2026. I'm Omazen, seated down here with Siberino. Sib, how are you doing today?
I'm doing all right, hanging in there, just resting up this weekend, and yeah, but I'm very excited, as this is my first low wink that I'll be commentating, and it's also nice to be commentating with you once again. When was the last time we commentated? Was it like back in CCA League 6 or something like that?
That sounds about right. I was about to say that myself too when you were starting to mention it. So it's been a hot minute, but still a lot of fun games to be had, of course, today. And Low Ink is always pretty stacked, right? It always has so much exciting talent coming together to square off, see who can kind of get to the top of the peak by the end of day 2, right? So a
hmm
lot of fun games here for sure. I'm excited. We're starting off on Splatzone's Hagglefish Market, of course, too. Very fun map. I don't know. Do you have any takes personally when you first look at this set here, Seb?
Um, Honestly, I don't know. Like, all I can say is I just want to get the first round started just so that I could see what's going on between both these two teams. Which, by the way, we will be seeing C Cadence versus Let Me Be Clear. From what I could tell, I do see some familiar players on both these teams. I don't remember. I don't remember. Some of them because it's been a while since I've seen them in low ink or when I fought them in low ink, but we'll find out soon enough once we get round 1 started right now.
Starting right now, indeed, and both teams loading into the map. We see some Tetras, we see a Mint Decav, a Blaster. It's a pretty even kind of match-off here, if you ask me, with the different tools each team has at their disposal. Different ways to break in, different ways to also just create pressure on the map rapidly. We see the pen here from the side of C Cadence setting up, putting out paint for their team, helping defend that zone, and trying to secure as much space as they can as the opening seconds start off.
Yeah, we do see one player going down. That I believe that was the Slosher. Yeah, it was. The Slosher does go down, but the pencil on, I believe it's C Cadence, right? Yeah, C Cadence. They do go down, but it didn't affect the team whatsoever, as C Cadence is able to get the first push in the zone. But unfortunately, one of the members does go down, but there was a trade between the Tetras. So things are kind of regressing to how C Cadence started off from the beginning, but as I say that, the S-Boss does go down, but 2 players from Let Me Be Clear go down.
I really liked the play that C Cadence had there throughout that first, 50 ticks of them holding the zone. As I say all this, the Tetra's going on an absolute spree, getting a triple. Look at that. That's the energy that Let Me Be Clear needs as they open up here. That has just opened up such a window of opportunity, although this Mint Decaf may be trying to say something otherwise as they create just enough of a distraction for their team to get the flip back.
Yeah, and we did see the Tetras did go back to help out their teammates to taking out the decaf, but I think the decaf just did an incredible job in just distracting everybody from Let Me Be Clear, that it did enable C Cadence to go back in and reclaim the zone, and now the Pencil got an assist there on I believe the Forge Pro, and yeah, I don't know, like things are just looking pretty back and forth between these two teams at the moment.
Definitely would agree, but when you get picks like how that Mini just threw that hammer and took out one of the members of Let Me Be Clear, that's really important. And honestly, the Mini's been putting in the work here throughout this entire match. They haven't really moved up too far up. They've definitely minded their space. They're kind of the guardian of the zone as long as they can stay up. They're not really extending too far up. They are helping with fights. Like, look at that team up they had with the S-Blast, able to chip off that Tetris a little bit, make sure that they can't get a slider up. That's huge for their team. And then just the constant hammer throws again, being able to support the Mint Decav jumping in, being able to support also that S-Blast again, of course. It's created so much constant pressure where the members of Let Me Be Clear can't even really stay up and get their specials fully set up.
I did notice there that the Tetris was going to use Reef, but unfortunately, I think they fumbled it as they got it set up. And because of that, it didn't able to capture the zone along with the strikes. C Cadence is able to get game number 1 in Swiss round 1.
That was a really strong showing from them as well. We talked about it a little bit earlier too, but just every single member of the team was very in tune with one another, right? The Pencil was constantly looking to create as many painting opportunities to reduce flanks, right? And then also the Mini kind of acting as a strong support, making sure there's always paint on the board too. And the other two members taking their selective flanks, not necessarily taking the same angles either, which is really important. That Splash seemed to typically lean to the left, the Mint Decav kind of covering the right side. And when you create pincers or indirect pincers like that, it's really difficult to find opportunities to break in unless if the team as a whole is able to dedicate their resources to dealing with them. So heading into a different map like Rainmaker Humpback, where a lot of efforts have to be a bit more coordinated to awkward points of the map, like the shoulders that both teams have to move into, right? I think it's going to create potentially a different sort of opportunity for both teams.
Yeah, from what I can tell, it seems like I do have a feeling that both of these teams may be sticking to what they have regarding like their comp, because I feel like both of their comps like just work well in Humpback Rainmaker, and I feel like for Tetris, it definitely will be a fun time for them as well, because I think like for dualies in general, you can have some pretty great picks and also just create a lot of like unexpected flanks that no one will predict. But anyways, we got game number 2 started here, folks, and I did notice that they swapped the Tetris for the blue Dapples.
Ooh, yeah, that's a different choice for sure. A lot of the same kit, right? But they are a bit more aggro with just the amount of pressure that the Dapples can put out and the speed it sort of has. Look at them already trying to rush the Mini, although the Blaster coming in clutch to help them out of that situation. And that Hammer almost taking out the Bucket from the side of Let Me Be Clear as well, who's just barely holding on to their bunker, as in the meantime, the rest of C Cadence goes ahead and grabs that check on the far right.
Yeah, great start for C Cadence here. We do see the Tetras trying to rush in and get the, I believe it was the Pencil, and they were able to get not only 1 but 2 picks, which is very crucial for Let Me Be Clear. And now we see the Pencil grabbing the Rainmaker, and now we can see a very potential push coming in from Let Me Be Clear.
No, true, and just as you say that, they go ahead and get that checkpoint, getting a lot of good pressure overall put out at the same time too. Although, just as I say that, Commentators curse Mr. Saturn from the side of C Cadence going in, getting a double, trying to find that triple, not necessarily finishing it off, but creating just enough of a distraction for the team to move that Rainmaker out of their checkpoint zone.
Yeah, and I did want to point out earlier that the Blue Dapples was able to survive during when they super jumped to their checkpoint, and now I think this enabled Let Me Be Clear to go ahead and just stop the push from C Cadence, and now they're already in the lead, able to get 3 points remaining. That is actually an incredible push, but this is Rainmaker in Humpback. No lead is safe in this map mode specifically.
It really isn't, but when you have players like that Dapples who are just willing to shark around, do whatever they can, that's a lot of great pressure, and we saw them just barely not get that Rainmaker on top of the checkpoint, unfortunately. Trying to wrap up the game right here and now, but Entei's gonna take a note from the side of C Cadence and just kind of go and take a fight as fast as they can. Just moving the Rainmaker. They currently have 2 down on the side of Let Me Be Clear, staggering them very gradually as a couple players keep going down, trying to create new opportunities for themselves to move in. The decap really just diving in as far as they can too, setting up that bubble to create kind of a buffer as they try to keep finding resources to move forward. Although that Dapples, once again, kind of just continuing to put out those crazy flanks as they pressure the team and try to prevent them from moving in.
Yeah, we do see the strikes and the reslutter coming out from Let Me Be Clear, and this does enable the members of Let Me Be Clear to go in a little bit and take paint control on their, I believe, their spawn area, and they certainly did that, exactly just that, and they were also able to take out the Rainmaker carrier, and looky there, I do see a decap flanking. Will they be able to get a pick? They did, but unfortunately it is a trade though.
Yeah, but even just the value of causing that distraction might be enough to create an opportunity here. If they got that hammer pick on that pencil, as we saw just fly through the air, that would have been huge too, but the decap's already back up again. They're trying to find a key pick. They don't find anything. The Rainmaker's getting surrounded. It's looking like they're going to have to reset up a new opportunity here as they try to find a chance to push in again.
Yeah, and I think, yeah, definitely a reset that C Cadence has to do here. But I think with the decap out in Let Me Be Clear spawn, I think this is a good opportunity for a reset. But by the looks of it, I do see the Rainmaker just out in the open in Let Me Be Clear's window. Which is going to be really hard for C Cadence to grab it, but it is going to reset eventually, and I think this is a good opportunity for another push for C Cadence to pursue.
Blaster does go down there to a very convenient bomb from Cherry of Let Me Be Clear. Picks are going back and forth from each side. The decav on this left flank now trying to find an opportunity to break in or at least cause enough of a distraction to get resources away from the easier right side push that C Cadence is trying to look to set up. But the members of Let Me Be Clear kind of just don't really care about any of that. They're still causing chaos. We see that Dapples, who is completely unattended for, taking out the Mini. That's a really key pick if you're on the side of Let Me Be Clear. And we have 5 seconds left. Who's going to make anything happen? We'll have to see.
Yeah, and we do see, oh, okay, I was just gonna say, we do see just things being neutral for now, but I guess it's because it is the final several seconds of that game, and yeah, so it looks like Let Me Be Clear is able to get game number 2 for round 1. I honestly liked what I saw from Let Me Be Clear. Like, they were just, I think, from what I could tell, like, they just like to rush down some of the members from C Cadence to the point where it really puts them out of position a lot. And I think that was just the key play, because I think from what I could tell, their Let Me Be Clear's comp is very like to rush down, while C Cadence just has more of like a control style type of comp. I don't know if you agree with me there.
No, I think I would agree with that. The side of Let Me Be Clear, they really know how to aggressively push an area rapidly, and when everything's a lot more sort of centralized, I think it creates a lot more opportunities for them to just cause a bit more chaos than on the opposite end of things with C Cadence. C Cadence, I think, really flourishes the most when they have very clear, direct lanes that they can work off of. Like Hagglefish Market is very easily, very clearly split into sort of 3 core areas that are relatively straightforward. Whereas Humpback is a lot more diverse in your just sight lines, where you can go, where you can shark out of, and we saw the Dapples really taking advantage of that there. And other players who on Hagglefish just were practically unstoppable, like the Mini, had a few more troubles. So going on to something like Clamblitz, Scorch Gorge, which is sort of almost a merging of the two conceptually in some ways, although it definitely has its own quirks as well. I think we might see a few new strategies come out as both teams try to adapt to each other, but also try to play to their strengths on this map too.
Yeah, I think like in Splat Zones, we were able to get a good idea on what C Cadence does with their comp, but in Rainmaker Humpback, we are able to see what Let Me Be Clear can do in that particular with their comp. So it's pretty much going to determine like what these two teams have to do in order to have a successful game 3, which by the way, folks, it is starting right now. And it looks like Let Me Be Clear, switching the Tetras back to or switching the Blue Dapples back to the Tetras from earlier.
Yeah, we do see that change back. So we're basically at square one again with how the first match of this set played out. However, that doesn't mean that the plays as a whole are going to look the same, as both teams kind of know what they're looking for a bit more now. We do see the Doolies leaning into some of these hits as well, and both teams are kind of at a standstill. Sid, what are you seeing?
We see the Tetras going in with Reef Slider, and I thought for a second they were gonna get a pick or two, but they didn't get any, and did get penalized by getting taken down, as all of the members of C Cadence just jumped on them. And now we see the Decav out setting up a bubbler on Let Me Be Clear's ramp. The Tetris was able to get them, but unfortunately though, they did get taken out by the hammer coming in from the Mini on C Cadence. And now we see the first basket throw in C Cadence side.
Yeah, for sure. And once again, we do see the side as C Cadence. They are trying to find more opportunities to break in. This Decav is kind of just being allowed to walk up a little bit, although they're trying to bide their time, making sure the right opportunity is there. And with that Booyah Bomb, it might be, although on the flip side, we do see the Tetra Doolies coming out, trying to create enough value for their team to start to ease up as well. And I think they did get that window they were looking for. C Cadence wasn't able to really work off of the Booyah Bomb or bubble, unfortunately. And these trades back and forth have created just enough chaos where it's bought Let Me Be Clear some time to get a bit more stable themselves, get maybe a few more clams on hand, and kind of just go from there.
Yeah, exactly. And right now, both these teams are just being on the neutral side, but C Cadence does have the upper advantage here, as they have control of top mid here. But I do see the Mini go taken down, and we see all of the members of Let Me Be Clear just rushing in and taking out both the Blaster and the Decav. And now we see a potential push, and they were able to get the first basket in, a couple more clams in. And yeah, we're gonna see if they're gonna continue the push.
They definitely are trying to make it happen the best they can, but unfortunately, that Reef Slider from the Tetras isn't going to necessarily find the value it was looking for, as that ramp kind of just acts as a huge denial if you're spaced out enough. But now C Cadence already kind of taking a note out of Let Me Be Clear's book on how that push went on their side, of just moving up rapidly and trying to find different angles to get set up on while they're a bit distracted. That Decav crossing as well, not able to find more than a pick, but causing enough of a distraction for the rest of the team to throw some balls in, or at least try to, as one falls off the map.
Honestly, I can definitely feel the pain coming from C Cadence the moment that power ball just dropped in the abyss. Like, I think everyone can relate to that, honestly. But I think this isn't too damaging for C Cadence, as they still do have most of control in mid here, and another potential push going on. Are they able to get the power ball in? They certainly did, and by the looks of it, with that Powerball, this does result in a lead swap.
Pretty significant one, too, without too much time even really passing, right? A lot of the team members were already up. They had like 4 to 6 clams, roughly, on each person, and just with that pressure alone, they were able to really rapidly get that score down all the way to remaining 31. So now it's kind of in Let Me Be Clear's hands of if they're able to, with the last minute or so remaining, find a lead of their own, and it seems like they're trying to find those flank opportunities. The Tetras, unfortunately, do go down. The rest of the members trying to build up specials to see if they can create that window they're looking for to break back in, or at least get the other team dispersed. 2 go down, though.
Yeah, I was gonna say, 2 go down though, and this may create a bit of a potential control in mid here, and of course, a potential push, but by the looks of it, it seems like they do want to paint again for more of their specials, and I think we see the missiles coming out and the Reef Slider trying to come out, but unfortunately though, they just got shut down by the members of Sea Cadence. But I still think that that the control of mid here is still in Let Me Be Clear's favor here. All they got to do is just try to at least get a distraction going in order to result a good push. And the Tetras was able to get in there, but they did get taken down by the pencil. And only 10 seconds remaining here, folks.
Yeah, the seconds are ticking down here. They're all trying to find their own opportunities, and hopefully that's not to their detriment. We do have an overtime going down right now. Dooley's does find one. They get another player heavily damaged, but it's not enough to necessarily take them out just yet. We see Mugi here trying really hard to move up, trying to find that key pick to allow themselves to break in. We have probably 10 ticks remaining. The ball goes down. It's looking really tough here as the side of Let Me Be Clear can't find that overtime throw to get themselves back in the game as Sea Cadence takes the win.
I think from what I could tell, I don't know if this is just me, but from what I noticed, I think Let Me Be Clear we're kind of trying to figure out where the decav was, because we saw the decav just giving the element of surprises in certain areas of the map. And they've been doing that a lot in the previous two games. And I think because of that, it did kind of trigger some sort of like worrying moment there for Let Me Be Clear, because I think they were just making sure they don't want the decaf to affect their push, and I think they kind of were playing it a bit too safe at like the final minutes of when they were trying to get a final push going.
Yeah, I think I definitely see what you're saying with that there too. I think what also played into that too, and just how that final push went, is the side of Let Me Be Clear. They were trying really hard to just find anything to. I believe we saw the pro drop down at one point, kind of just dragging attention away, and just movements like that and plays like that just help divert the attention of Sea Cadence as a whole away from kind of this one clear checkpoint of we all want to get to the basket of like, oh, there's this player who just sharked or just dropped somewhere that is going to be a problem if we don't deal with it. And those players from the side of Sea Cadence, they didn't commit to those placements either. They jumped out. They just stayed there long enough for the side of Let Me Be Clear to have to think they have to deal with it. So just causing enough of chaos a little bit, enough just distractions, really helped them stall time just enough where they could get that clear victory and prevent that window of opportunity from really realizing itself too, I think.
Yeah, 100%. But still though, like I still think that both of these teams really put on a wonderful show in round one of Low Ink. So what a great start to not only Low Ink but also this particular round in general. So yeah, that was honestly just a fun show to watch.
No, I agree completely. We also see a bit of a preview into Group A's round one and how they're all doing. Most of these sets, if not all, pretty much being done. Looks like we have two that are still in the process of going through a game 3, but there's a lot of 3-0s on the board, which I think it's typical of the early rounds of low ink, from my own days playing in the tournament.
Same.
We have a lot of familiar faces here. Cowboy Vac Pop, for instance, is one that pops out to be a bit more. Of course, we have the C Cadence Let Me Be Clear set, which, again, that was like very close. That was surprisingly close. I don't think you really expect those sorts of sets to happen as early on, so I hope both teams kind of have their blood pumping a bit more and they can play out the rest of day one with a bit more, just fire in their soul and just having a fun time and everything, right? But so taking a look at Group B, round 1 as well, a lot of sets concluding, if not having already concluded, and again, a lot of 3-0s on the board. It seems like we have some domination going on today, Sib.
Yeah, and I do recognize a lot of teams that I may have scrimmed with in the past in Group B. So, yeah, from what I could tell, like, this is I don't know. This is just me predicting, but I have a feeling that this might be like a very exciting low ink in general. Like, obviously there are some like notable moments like in the previous low inks, but I don't know. I feel like this one might be the #1 winner in my opinion, but we'll have to find out soon enough.
Yeah, we'll have to see for sure. Of course, the party's just getting started now, and we will be back once round 2 starts popping up. We'll see you all in a few minutes. All right. Welcome back, everyone, to round two of Low Ink in this wonderful February 2026. I'm once again here. I'm Omazon, and I'm joined once again by Severino as we continue to go down the path of this whole journey of low level and just low ink in general, right? We are going to be joined here by Whip in Progress and Six Pack Yolks as they both look to up the ante a bit today and see who can reign triumphant this set. Sabrina, what do you think of anything we have in front of us right now?
Well, to get the obvious out of the way, two pretty well-known teams that I recognize. So this is gonna be awesome. I'm very excited to finally get to see like what both of them have going on, especially since this will be my first time watching both of them. And yeah, we're gonna just go ahead and get the show started here, folks. We're gonna start off with game number two, or game number one in round number two, which is going to be Ship Shape Tower, a pretty notorious map mode, if I do say so myself.
A little bit notorious indeed, but these comps, I love them. Both teams are cooking, and it's beautiful. Double sword on the side of Whip in Progress, that might be one of my most favorite things ever. But then on the side of Six Pack Yolks, look at them. They're already dominating. They got the Dynamo out. They got the Bucket. They got the two insane, like, Sharky skirmishers. It's beautiful. I love this so much.
Honestly, I kind of low-key like this. Yeah, we do see both of these teams just having a specific weapon that got an insane buff in the recent updates. So it's cool to see them in action now. We do see the Wiper try to go in to sneak up on the tower, but unfortunately they did get taken out by the strikes. We see I believe the Dapples rushing in and resliding to the left side of Whip in Progress is spawn area, and now they're already in the final checkpoint. The Six Pack Yolks. Oh my goodness, I have not been paying attention to that.
Look at that reef slider. It just absolutely destroyed two of the members of Whip in Progress. Man, the way that they've been able to cover all these angles has been crazy too. And there it is. The game is over already, Seb.
Man, that honestly felt like a blur. Like, I feel like I need to rewatch this again on replay mode and just see what happened during when the Six Pack Yolks were trying to break the first two checkpoints. All I could see was just the Wiper going in and the Dapple Doolies just rushing into the spawn, and that was literally it.
Yeah, no, it was like the amount of angles that Dooley was able to cover and play off of as the tower kept kind of marching forward gradually was insane. Like, there were moments where they were very deep into the base of Whip in Progress. There were moments where they were hanging back a bit more, and they were able to cover flanks from the side of Whip in Progress as they were trying to, just make sure that everything was accounted for, that they could keep just cruising along, and it worked wonderfully. And going into Splat Zone's Mahi here, it is going to be a bit different, right? You're not going to have that objective that kind of just moves with you. Although, there are going to be other things on the map that are moving, I'm sure, as we all know, as Mahi has its little quirk of once you're kind of through a certain point of the match, the map's going to open up a lot more. Things are going to become a lot more exposed. So you're going to have to be sure that your kind of flanks are covered, that everything else is managed, and that might create enough of an opportunity for Whip in Progress to do something with.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Mahi Zones is definitely such an open map mode. Like once the water level drops, um, it's gonna definitely create more exposure for players in general. So I think with Six Pack Yolks' comp, they gotta really play more of the ledges, especially for the Dynamo. I feel like because I think with the buff, it's definitely gonna be a fun time for them, just as long as they're safe and have like a lot of protection from their teammates. Um, but we're gonna find out soon enough, and by the looks of it, we are, I don't know, like, we may see some comp changes. We'll find out as game number 2 starts.
Yeah, already starting up. We do see a handful of changes. For instance, on the side of Six Pack Yolks, I don't believe there's a dually present anymore. Um, they now have an Aerospray, so they're going to be going a bit more for the paint spam on their side, although Whip in Progress kind of opting for a little bit more of a Wall-E comp that can also just dominate and hold certain positions well, so they might find a lot of value with that. We'll have to see as the match starts up here.
Yeah, and Six Pack Yolks already off to a really strong start, able to get 2 members down. The Dualies on Whip in Progress is trying to escape, but they were able to by a quick super jump. And now Six Pack Yolks have full control of the zone here and a little bit of the spawn here. And I think I saw a Booyah taking out 2 people.
Yeah, no, at least creating enough of just a situation, right, where it could, or at least start that up. So, Whip in Progress trying to play off of some of that just enough in order to find themselves a way to break in, although it seems like so far every single opportunity they've found has not really played out as well as they would have otherwise liked it to. We do see the Splash, who's attempting to hold down the fort here, trying to hold this certain position, the drop as well, and it's actually worked out pretty well for them so far. That Dynamo's doing a lot of heavy work, though, as they try to just delay the zone a bit more, maybe taking a note out of the Splash's book there, as the zone keeps being under contention.
Yeah, great clutch save there coming in from Whip in Progress. Like, I thought for a second though that things were gonna be a little dire, but fortunately though they were able to just retake the zone here. But I did notice that they were kind of just playing a little bit held back, like just kind of staying around the zone without pushing up, resulting in the members of Six Pack Yolks just retaking the zone and most of the control of the map.
Yeah, and they have to be careful about how they play that out, right? Like, you can kind of hold it down for a moment, maybe get your bearings under control, but you're going to have to be sure that you can also just comfortably break back in as well. We do see the strikes come out from the Splash here. 2 are down. It creates enough of a window for them to get the zone back. They have to find the picks to accompany that too. And we do see the machine go down here as the Splash kind of gradually plays out that fight. The Dooley's trying to find a back angle, able to take out the brush. That's a good pick. The Dynamo also going down. That's clean as well. And now it seems like Whip in Progress kind of has a bit more control over everything, right? We do see the penalty gone. They're trying to start to get set up that decav, trying to play that far right island angle. And so far, so good.
Yeah, but we do see the specials getting ready on the side of Six Pack Yolks. We see the Booyah coming out. We see the Reef Slider just coming out now as I say that. And we also do see the hammer being used. All of the resources coming in from the Six Pack Yolks resulted in a wipeout on the side of Whip in Progress now. And now things are back to how they were back in the beginning. Just the members of Six Pack Yolks taking most of control of the map here. And I think like what Whip in Progress has to do is that they have to at least get a massive pick on one of the members of Six Pack Yolks, result in trying to take control of the zone here. But they got to do it quick.
Yeah, the time is of the essence right now. They might find the stall, but, you know, as I say that, unfortunately, Commentators curse, it doesn't work out as much as they were hoping it to. Just the amount of sprinklers, too, we saw this match. Like, Sprinkler is such a kind of, like, indirectly deadly weapon when it comes to how much pressure it can put out on zones. And that was really kind of the game changer for both sides there, I think, as the matches played themselves out. I believe the Dynamo in particular are able to just kind of constantly let that Sprinkler kind of just exist and deny so much time that otherwise the members of Whip in Progress would have been able to use. Definitely helped them come in clutch for sure.
Yeah, and looking here, we do get to see what we're gonna expect in game number 3, which is Rainmaker Museum. Definitely a classic map mode in this game for sure. And I don't know. this is definitely going to be a chaotic one from what I could tell, especially with the comps. Especially with the comps, both of these teams have been using in the previous. So, I don't know. What are your thoughts?
I'm not sure if we're going to see anything terribly different on the side of comps. I think a lot of the weapons that we saw so far are going to remain still viable on this map mode. They're kind of just used in a lot of different ways, right?
Hmm.
I think when it comes to the ways that they choose to push up, I think the six-pack yolks are going to find a lot of success once again here if they play their cards right, just because of the jumps that they have available through the spinner in the middle of the map, and then also the ramps that are available as well. There are a lot of opportunities. On the side of Whip in Progress, though, I think they could still find ways to comfortably break in and maybe find a lead as well. It's just going to come down to if they can make sure that certain flanks are out of the question, and also that certain members of the six-pack yolks can't necessarily get the key picks they're looking for.
Yeah, 100% agree with you there. And we do see game number 2 or game number 3 started here, folks. I do see the Crab Dread coming out from the side of Whip in Progress, and I did see that I think they swapped back the Aerospray. They swapped the Aerospray back to the Blue Dapples, and yeah, I think that's pretty much all that I could tell, all I could see regarding any comp changes. But anyways, right now we do see Reef Slider coming out from the Blue Dapples, and this does create a lot of pressure, and this does put the members of Whip in Progress out of position.
No, it has for sure, and although the six-pack yolks have been able to secure that initial checkpoint, which is very valuable, especially so early in the match, we did see them mostly wipe, so now they're going to be kind of a little bit on the back foot for a moment as they try to get set up again. Although, to be fair, when you have a Dynamo on your hands, it's a bit easier to kind of quickly get back in, or at least hold down that pressure on a map like this, where it's a little bit difficult to get up onto the opponent's plat so quickly.
Yeah, and oh no, that is very unfortunate coming in from the side of Whip in Progress. Two members do go down here, and this does create a lot of control here for Six Pack Yolks, able to get one of the cleanest knockouts in Museum Rainmaker. Wow, that was insane.
Yeah, the match kind of just ended. I'm not gonna lie. um, the members of the six-pack yolks were able to move up so quickly, so aggressively, and just allow the Rainmaker that opportunity to just so quickly and securely dunk the Rainmaker onto the final checkpoint, ending the match in a knockout. That was really impressive from their side of things, and they were also able to pace everything out where, yeah, you had that blaster flanking behind. It took out a member of your team, I believe, as well, but if you just kind of ignore them, what are they going to do about it? What, are they going to jump back and then you're about to KO the Rainmaker? I don't know. I guess the cards are kind of in their hands. But yeah, really strong showing from Six-Pack Yolks. Really, really strong showing overall, with just different ways they're able to manage each mode that we saw today. Whip in Progress also putting on a good show as well, with the different tools they were able to show off, of course. So do you have any kind of concluding thoughts on this round 2 set?
I guess I hope that this didn't take a toll on Whip in Progress's mental health, because mentality is so important, especially in low ink, because you have to play in 6 rounds and everything, and I hope this didn't affect the mentality of them during that game, because if that happens, it's definitely going to be a rough time for them in the upcoming rounds that they will be facing. So I'd say just don't let that affect your mentality whatsoever. It is still early on in low ink, so hopefully it wouldn't. Hopefully it doesn't. Hopefully it didn't bother them whatsoever.
No, for sure. And I think keeping that mental up is so key. I remember during some of my previous runs of low ink, quite some time ago already, a lot of different sets would kind of shake you up, right? But you had to keep that mental up, because if you're early in the tournament. You have 2, 3, even 4 rounds remaining. You really can't let that bog you down. You have to try to do your best to shake it off, because you might be 1 down. Maybe you're 1-1 right now. Maybe you're even 0-2. But if you can keep your mental up, keep experimenting and understanding what tools you have available to you, you're able to, I don't know, just continue kind of just problem solving, essentially, right? Because you can't let yourself get too bogged down by everything, and making sure that you can keep your head up is going to be so key, especially in these kind of tests of endurance that Loic in particular kind of shows off to lower level teams.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. And um, with this round for both these teams finished, there are still several games or several rounds between both of these teams that have yet to be finished here. I do see just a couple of them. Yeah, honestly, we still have a long way to go, but that's all right though. At least you'll be able to, like, at least for those people who have finished, you can be able to at least just take a quick break and get yourself like refreshed by getting water or snack or something like that. So that's also another thing that can boost up your mentality a little bit when when you just finished a game. Like, you need to stretch, you need to do all those things just for all these self-care little habits to keep your body and your mind up and going. So yeah, make sure to do all those things because it really can make a difference.
Agreed, for sure. And we still have quite a few sets that have to wrap up for the rest of round 2, so I believe we're going to take a short break here as round 3 starts to begin, and we'll see you all later.
It's now or it's never, and I've got to make my decision. This time it could be my moment. Is this a mirage or a chance to fulfill my mission? A river in a dry land, the left is in a lost end. A heartbeat for a demon, a wages in a strange land. I'm giving the balance, but I'm standing on razor's edge now. Real quick, or my life is over. One strike just a pain, then I'm out of his field.
Welcome back, everybody, to round 3 of this month's edition of Low Ink. To start off, I am Siberino here with Omazen, and yeah, we are going to be witnessing Yogurt versus Destructive during this round. Are you familiar with both of these teams, Oma?
Neither of them are that familiar to me, at least, although taking a look into what they both kind of have going on, we do see that I think they are both 1-1, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, they are both 1-1 right now. So they're looking to try to get that overall score of their set wins to a 2-1, of course, heading into this next set here. So there is a bit on the line. Both of them were able to secure their first set win. So round 1 they were able to close out. However, round 2 they both lost on their respective ends. So heading into this set in particular, there is a bit more on the line, right? We are about halfway through the tournament at this point, so wins are becoming much more important. However, that doesn't mean that there aren't still opportunities to experiment and opportunities to see what you can really pull off while having a little bit of leeway. So heading into this set here, starting out on Clamblitz Umami Ruins, I think a lot of opportunities here are just going to come down to how each team is able to hold down the control of not just mid, but also that mid plat as well. That a lot of players typically refer to as top mid, I believe. Sib, do you have any thoughts yourself heading into Clamblitz on Umami Ruins on what might be key strategies for each team to generally try to hold to?
I guess like one thing is both these teams need to keep in mind that um, while the baskets are not really close to each other, similar to Makomart Clan Blitz, but they are relatively close. So they just gotta be careful on like they just gotta be careful in the attempts of people sneaking into their dome or into their plat and stuff like that. Just all of these things that they got to keep in mind when they have control of mid here. But anyways, game number 1 just started here, and by the looks of it, I see an X-Washer coming in from the side of Destructive and a backless comp coming in from Yogurt.
Yeah, we do have kind of that key difference maker here, although neither team has maybe the most formal of backlines, with also the Explo and Dynamos being a bit more of a flex in some regards, maybe being just a bit more of an anchor. So heading in here, we do see both teams finding those opportunities to not necessarily be fully out of the map. Yogurt did get backed off there for a moment, although they were able to find ways to get back up. Members of Destructive are really just doing their best here to try to hold the line, although also finding their own opportunities to sneak in, like the Scowl trying to find the flank on the Crab, and they do, taking that Crab out before they were able to cause too much damage. The Stamper has also just been doing a phenomenal job of just holding down pressure throughout mid, playing off of other weapons like the Dynamo and whatnot. So we're yet to see a big push from either side, although we are seeing the members of Yogurt start to go down.
Yeah, and now it is Destructive having control, but the Explo wasn't able to keep an eye on that bomb there that was right near them, and I think this does enable the members of Yogurt to go back in and reclaim not only their basket but try to reclaim mid, and they successfully do so. And this bucket out here just causing havoc here, and just able to take out 2 of the members from Destructive, and now I think we may see a potential push coming in from Yogurt.
Yeah, they definitely are setting up for it. They have the Crab, they have the Booyah to help set it up. It seems like a couple of the players, not even a couple, the whole team is going to wipe at the cost of 2 ball throws, but that's also not necessarily the worst score heading into around the halfway point of the match. On the flip side of things, though, we do see just about nearly 2 balls set up on the end of Destructive. They do have 1 on hand, maybe enough clams to build a second nearly, but they do start off their own pushes while Yogurt has 2 players down, and this is going to play out a little bit differently than Yogurt's own push earlier, as Destructive has been able to set up on not just the dome near the basket, but has also been able to just flex in more clams, try to dive in a bit more to get some of those just additional points on the board.
Yeah, they were able to get to 47 points remaining, which honestly is not too bad of a good lead, but it is still a good a potential flip coming from Yogurt, since both these points that they have aren't too far apart from each other. And we see Yogurt coming back to where they started before, just going in for a potential push, and they certainly did. But I think the push got a little too I would say rushed, I feel like. And because of that, this does result in a wipeout for them, and now Destructive is back to where they started again. This is what I mean by like how close these baskets are here, folks.
Yeah, they're kind of deceptively close to each other. This map does a great job with just how it's physically laid out to make it feel like that you have to go through all these different subsections of it, when in reality, you could theoretically just walk past it all, and suddenly you're at the other team's basket in no time at all. But we do keep seeing both these teams go back and forth. Specials do come out from both sides to kind of create more pressure. The Crab, for instance, able to enable a start of a push for Yogurt here. Will they find that value of actually scoring the clam? We'll have to see. They do find one. It's leaving just the bucket up there. Not able to find a bit more than just a narrow lead, though. And Destructive, again, we've talked about before, they're already trying to push up to the basket in no time at all. Although that rush on their part might have been to their detriment, as we do see just kind of the Explos standing in mid trying to hold down a new push from Yogurt.
Yeah, I think both these teams are finally now like getting a good grasp of each other now, like halfway through the game. Like they're just like, oh, we finally figured it out. Let's try to do that. And I think this really mostly applied to Yogurt here. Even though like Destructive got a good grasp, I think Yogurt has the upper hand in like understanding the play style here. But we see Destructive just rushing in, and they were able to flip the lead at the last second here, and able to get 4 points remaining. This is going to be the most intense overtime for Yogurt.
Oh, they almost closed it out there as well. Unfortunately, just narrowly missing the basket. This is going to create a little bit of a window for Yogurt to maybe get a push in, although most of the overtime had passed at that point, so probably not going to happen, as we do see Destructive close out this set, I believe. Or close out the round, my bad. Or the individual match. What am I saying?
Okay, it's all right. I think we get what you're trying to say, but my God, that was a chaotic fight between these two teams. Honestly, I think this will be a fun one to watch here. Honestly, because we now have a good idea on what both these teams like to run here. Although that is probably gonna change when we get to game number 2 here. But honestly, though, like I loved what I saw. Like it was just so. I feel like those entire games, like that entire game, just felt so scrappy. If that's the right way to describe it.
No, I think that's a fair assessment, and I think when it gets to that point, it kind of just becomes a battle of almost attrition, or at least a battle of who has the most stamina in like we're talking like maybe you're doing a sprint versus kind of a longer country mile or something like that. It's like who can do the sprint on the country mile and actually just outlast their opponent. And we kind of saw that happen with Destructive, right? Destructive kind of had, unfortunately, a few fumbles throughout that match in particular, where they probably could have found a lot more value if they just steadily walked up as opposed to rapidly dive in. But it got to a point where towards the end of the match, Yogurt was kind of starting to get a little bit unsure about how maybe things would go too. There were a few cracks starting to form, and Destructive was, able to be destructive. They were able to find that win and secure a near knockout on their part. So, if you have the opportunity to just overwhelm your opponent like that, you can cause a lot of, destructive damage.
um, yeah, I 100% agree with you here. I also do want to give out some sort of analogy as well, where like it feels like it kind of remind me a little bit in wrestling, where once when two opponents like fight, give like their first hit at each other, it's this sudden reaction where like they're all just like, oh, this is real, like we're actually like fighting in. And I felt like that's what we saw from both these teams, like in game number one. But we're moving on from game number one. We are heading straight to game number two here, folks. Tower Control on Inkblot Art Academy, a classic map mode in the competitive scene. Do we see any comp changes here, Oma?
I think there are maybe a small handful. Not anything too notable, though, that's going to necessarily change things one way or another. But what we do see is, once again, a lot more of those trades back and forth that we saw in the first match. Yogurt trying their best to just have a really strong start. They are able to find that first check, although at the cost of nearly the entire team wiping, unfortunately. We do see the Dynamo come back in quick, though, is able to find a really clean pick on the Gal, and then also, three members of the team even getting that flow aura right as they unfortunately also wipe themselves, but it's created enough of a window where the members of Yogurt are able to get back up themselves. We do see this Dooley getting that crab up as well, trying to maybe take a page out of Destructive's book from last game of just that constant overwhelming, that constant being unsure of what the opponent might have just coming out next.
Yeah, very strong positioning from the Yogurt. I think after game one, they really just forgot what they did in game number one, and just kind of like had a new mindset and kind of just went in, and it certainly worked out for them. And they're just still out here like creating so much destruction. I think they should be also calling themselves Destructive 2.0 at this point.
Destructive 2.0, that's not necessarily the most incorrect thing in the world. We do see Destructive come out with a quad on their own side, though, through a combination of some counters and the Booyah Bomb as well. And that was a key play they needed to make. If they weren't able to necessarily get Yogurt completely out, it's been proven that as long as they have one jump spot opportunity, they can just get right back up. And they're trying to take a page out of, ironically, the Yogurt book of trying to just find those different angles to ease in up to, and it's kind of finding some opportunities. We do see the Stamper really holding down that left side of the map near the ink rail pretty well. But kind of heading into their own push, Destructive is gradually setting up. They're taking it a little bit slower, and it's going to be up to Yogurt to just deny as much of this as they can.
We did see a Booyah coming out, and I think that was able to take out two people, but the Doolies unfortunately fell in the water. And this does give a good upper advantage here. But as I say that, Commentators curse here, the Bucket player just out here doing these crazy hospital flicks on a couple of the members from Destructive. And now I think this does save Yogurt from retaking mid here. And I think they're just going back to where they started before, just creating another push.
Definitely seems like it is the case, right? Yogurt, especially at a minute and a half left on the match, this is kind of a key point to try to not necessarily push a ton, but to definitely try to make sure the tower can't get easily pushed against you. We do see just the Dynamo being left here as the members of Destructive start to set up that Gal once again, taking that right step flank, opting to back off of it and move with the rest of their team on the left, trying to just work together best they can, and they are finding some value. It's just going to come down to how quickly they can find that value and make sure that the members of Yogurt can't deny this tower push from happening.
I do want to point out that I noticed that a couple of the members from Yogurt are kind of like playing roles that they shouldn't be doing. Like we saw the Dynamo kind of being a little aggro. Like even though they have like a good um they can be able to get good picks like with the buff that they got. It's still not gonna be enough for them, especially since like they have to also have the help from their teammates, and I feel like Yogurt is kind of now just playing alone, like without getting any help, and again, like we're seeing them just getting taken out in the process.
Yeah, and I mean, you have to kind of just have that consistency, especially on a map mode like Tower. With clams, right, you can just really rapidly make something happen in not too much time, assuming you have the economy under control. But on a map mode like Tower, like you're kind of reliant on that checkpoint just working with you, and unfortunately, it doesn't seem like that's going to be the case for Destructive actually, as Yogurt's able to get this set to a 1-1 position, I believe.
Yeah, honestly, like despite mentioning the flaws, the weakness that Yogurt have, they still were able to get an insane push like in the beginning here, and I think like some of the players had their moments in like saving themselves from not letting Destructive and getting a good push here. Like we saw the bucket just creating such amazing flicks and getting such crucial picks, which saved them. And yeah, it's just really like it was just really like certain moments like that really saved Yogurt into securing game number 2 here. But yeah. Anyways, we are heading straight to Splat Zone's Mako Mart, another classic in the competitive scene.
Yeah, it definitely is a classic. It's definitely one of those maps we're going to generally see on every single tournament, and for good reason, right? There's a lot of different ways to handle the map, but a lot of different just objectives and places you're typically going to want to stand or play around are very centralized. It makes things very relatively clean, but it can also create those opportunities for teams to dominate too, right? So heading into here, we've seen obviously both teams win a match and pretty decisively relatively win both of those matches at the end of the day when you look at the score counters. I think heading into this one in particular, since we don't have that kind of little quirkiness to a moving objective, and we don't have the quirkiness of, like, to a certain point you almost are the objective in a way, like in Clan Blitz.
Yeah.
It's going to come down to which team is able to realize some flanks right, but also which team is going to be able to just hold down a space very comfortably. And both teams have the tools to do it. I'm not exactly sure who's going to necessarily pull it off myself. Sib, do you have any thoughts of your own?
I don't know, because, like, I feel like both of these teams, they just have such strong openings, and I feel like it all just depends on a fumble from a player who can fumble. We're just gonna have to find out as we get game number 3 going, and by the looks of it, nothing out of the ordinary has changed, just the same comps that we saw before in the previous 2 games.
For sure, and heading into the beginning of this match, we do see one go down on the side of Yogurt being the Stamper, but also the Pro and Gal and Dynamo also going down, as this match is left in a bit of a 2-on-2 situation. Although it seems like Destructive's gonna win out that battle of attrition, as not just does the zone not flip yet, but they're also able to find the key trades to prevent it from happening just yet. Just as I say that, Yogurt does find a map of their a zone cap of their own, and it's created this opportunity for them to try to rapidly move up in the way we were able to see them do it last match too.
I'm just waiting to see that Dynamo try to rush into the ledge just so that they could get some crazy picks. But I think they just they are well aware that there are so many like on top left here, which is good for them to just stay alive and just kind of stay back, be the anchor of the team, which honestly is like the smartest play to do. Like if you're a backless comp and everything, we do see the Dynamo taking out the Pro, I believe, but one of them traded out for them, and now I think things are just returning to neutral here, but I think the members of Yogurt do have the upper advantage here, able to take out the Gal, and now the Stamper has the Booyah ready and trying to throwing it to left side. This is definitely a very dominating game for Yogurt.
No, it really has been. We've seen in particular the Stamper just create a lot of damage and has been able to help keep down key parts of the map so well. It seems like Destructive might find that cap they're looking for here, although there's just enough things getting thrown around where it hasn't happened just yet. That Booyah might be that thing they need to get it to flip over, and it is. That's a key moment for them. They are trying to get themselves steadied and hopefully a bit more stabilized, but the members of Yogurt just aren't relenting. They've held on control to their stack that whole time. And it's to the point where they even have a crab out. They even throwing our booyahs, right?
Yeah, like, I think, because Makomar has so many, like, areas for you to just, like, move around, like, we saw the Dualies and the Stamper and even the Bucket just, taking advantage of those, open opportunities, in, like, their alley or in, like, the far ramp, sides. Like, they just really had a good run going, but it seems like things are not going too well for Yogurt at the moment, as Destructive have a lot of control of the map. We see the strikes and the Booyah coming out from Yogurt here, and I think this might have saved them. I don't think so. Yeah, I think it didn't do a whole lot, as yeah, they were able to get picks, but I think they just weren't able to get the zone.
No, for sure. And as we kind of reach this key, like, do or die point of the set here, right? We do see both teams kind of get some trades back and forth. The Stamper's in a pretty key position if they can stay up on this off angle here, able to not necessarily find a pick, but get enough eyes off of the zone to kind of prevent the members of Destructive from getting too much power back. But yeah, it's just like, can you hold down those positions? Can you hold down each stack in particular too? We haven't necessarily seen it just yet from Destructive, but there is a little bit of time left.
Yeah, I think we saw the resources coming out from Destructive here, and they were able to capture the zone with those resources that they have. And I think what they got to do in order to have a successful victory here is to just have control, is to not only have control, but really have strong positions here. And I think they definitely had some going on, but I think with the zap down, this is going to be a bit of a. This might definitely be harder for them, especially since they don't have a cooler ready yet.
No, for sure. And I mean, Destructive here really has to do everything they can to just hold down the zone too. We've seen that once they start to be in a position where they have to move back a little bit, the members of Yogurt are able to just come out with so many different specials, and with the help of the Dynamo too, they're able to just rapidly take so much space control back. And with the crab already up there at
my god,
at the snipe as well of Destructive, it's gonna be really tough for them to get back out.
Yeah, and I think because of that strong defense coming in at the end, especially with the crab on snipe, which, by the way, that was really cool to watch. Just as a dually player myself, that was fun to watch there for a moment. But anyway, that strong defense there just pretty much locked out the members of Destructive from taking the zone here, and Yogurt is able to successfully win not only game number 2, but also this entire round.
Yeah, it was really close too. Both
Mhm.
teams were able to just get a lot of their own moments, a lot of like, okay, this might be it type moments, right, throughout the set, and just that match in particular too. But ultimately, Yogurt did come out on top, but both teams had a really great showing. I have to give them both that for sure. Destructive with just how quickly they're able to move up, but then also Yogurt with how, like, defiantly they're able to kind of create a wall and, like, kind of place that wall practically wherever they want and make it nearly impossible for the opponent to break through. But yeah, both teams had their own great moments. Sib, you have any closing thoughts here?
Um, Honestly, you pretty much took the words right out of my mouth here, Oma. Like both of these teams they just really had showed all of their strengths and weaknesses in this entire round. Like um I absolutely love how they played it. It was just really unfortunate there that the members of Destructive kind of didn't have like the strong positions that they want in order to get a successful lead swap. But hopefully this is something that they could take out of this round and use it and just apply what they learned in the next one, in the next round that they will be doing.
Absolutely. And with quite a few sets having wrapped up and a handful on the way to having themselves be wrapped up in game threes from the looks of it, we're kind of at that midway point of Loink already, right, for day one. So I think it's about time we probably start to sign off here, Sib. Is there anything you want to shout out? Is there anything you want to kind of call out as we start to wrap things up here with us too?
Um, Honestly, if you're interested, you can follow me on my Blue Sky and even on my Twitch. I pretty much just talk about Splatoon. Although I'm not fairly active as I used to be, like in last year, but I'll try to make an effort this year. So if you want to follow me, regardless, you can follow me on my Blue Sky and my Twitch at Severino. But what about you, Oma? Where can the awesome people in chat find you?
Yeah, totally. So y'all can find me at my own Blue Sky as well, which is going to be omazen.broadcastbeep.com. Kind of goes with part of the name, but also I encourage you all to check out Beep if you're not familiar. We do quite a few interviews and documentaries and things like there. So be sure to check it out. For instance, there's also Bouillabaisse happening today. So definitely encourage you all to at least give it a peek, see what's going on over there. But we'll see you all soon with more Low Ink action.
Good time zone, everyone.
It's the most wonderful time of the month. You know what that means? That means we got some more low ink action coming your way. Welcome back to the low ink stream on the day one. We're here to take you through the rest of groups of rounds 4 through 6. I'm Nito. Alongside me will be Electro J, and it's been it's been nothing that's not too far off par, but that being said, it's still been a decently action-packed day.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with you here, Nito. Like 92 teams being in this low ink, one of the larger low inks of recent times, and also the fact that there's so much talent packed into this event. We're looking at the distribution of all the teams and everything. A bunch of teams are still undefeated going into round number 4 right now, but we are going to be focusing on this match of the Stingrays versus Ufish. Both teams about similar in record due to the Swiss stage. Both have a 2-3 record, so but definitely going to be a very crucial win for them going forward here as we are going to get set for game number 1. Hopefully, both teams are looking for this win to see if they have the chance to stay in the running for an alpha bracket placement. But we're looking at the comps. I'm seeing the Nautilus on the side of Stingrays and the custom X-Splasher. These are some very interesting comp choices, Nito.
And looking at the side of Ufish, it's very range heavy. Looking at the blasters, the Wellspring actually, and the heavy Splatling. So, want to see how this interacts with the Stingrays. They have gone for a more aggressive composition. Obviously, the Nautilus is going to provide them more mobility that you'll see later on, and you also get their range. So more tools to gain more area with, but maybe you don't need it too much because Tonic is going to take the initiative there on the side, gets one pick down, might get a few more, but in fact it's going to be the Stingrays that are going down 3 players already. Start.
Yeah, Jester trying to pop that splashdown just to make sure everybody's clear of where they were before they could jump out, and Cookies will go down, but Asri on the pedestal is going to get shut down by Goshu, and right now this Wellstring is getting chased down by the Dapples. The Dapples have just been adapting the same mindset, is just throw yourselves at the enemy almost and hope and pray that something works. But Tonic, they are getting a lot of picks and trading out, which definitely you can say is a net win in their favor. Jester finding a pick with this Rainmaker. Bubble will come out to stay alive for the Blaster, and that gives enough time for Ufish to kind of recuperate. And that will also be the Rainmaker drop. Definitely a good hold from Ufish to prevent any more progress from Stingrays. But look out, here comes Tonic on the side here as well. Bitoy very weak, popping that Ultra Stamp, hoping to stay alive, but right now it's just not a lot going, and Tonic still in this plat being just an absolute menace to Ufish's numbers.
The Stingrays, it turns out being a menace was the key to success there. There are 3 players down. Love to see how the Stingray responds to that 3-down situation. They will be getting this pedestal, albeit there will be a bit of a delay trying to get on the pedestal in the first place, but that splashdown provides enough coverage just for that push to keep on going. 58 remaining for the Stingrays. You better believe they're going to be getting more points after that. 30 remaining before a hammer puts an end to that push, at least for the time being. Still a lot of players from the Stingrays ready and able to continue this push, but Jay, it looks like the Stingrays have been slowly creeping toward that second pedestal throughout the course of this matchup. We're only halfway there. 30 remaining, it almost seems like they're getting ready to eclipse that score.
Yeah, right now, although, as you say, that the Rainmaker is going to get reset to mid, but Goshu is already in the back there, ready to pop the shield and bring it back up. A bit of a really prolonged hold for Stingrays, and they're going to try to see if anything's coming out. The Cooler is out, but no, the Wellstring will take down the Rain, forcing Stingrays to move back a little bit. Jester with the splashdown, gonna insta-shred the bubble and getting a pick on the side as well. But the Blaster from Ufish just trying to do what they can, but they can't seem to do too much. It seems to be a bit of a battle that could be snowballing out of control here. A few extra points are picked up from the side of Stingrays, but right now there's a lot of pressure being exerted just from Jester up on height with this Explo. But now there's more points are going to get put down. The splashdown will come out as well. But Ufish is still making sure that Stingrays can't get this knockout, Nito.
A done deal for the Stingrays, at least for the time being. Bitoy here with the hammer. No better special to flank with them with that hammer. And it turns to work out fairly well for Ufish. They put an end to the Stingrays' pushes. And in fact, they get them out of their own territory. So lots of help there. But Ufish now looks for the second opportunity to get this across. Try to use this spinner in the middle to get it to the opposing pedestal, but Tonic still keeping Ufish behind. Pick after pick, nothing that Ufish has been able to come up with has been a suitable response for what the Stingrays have brought against the team in orange so far, as Cookies waits for another opportunity to sneak this Rainmaker in. I mean, just look at how much the Stingrays have been able to stall them out, keep him within this sort of wall in the middle. Cookies is already in lots of trouble there, and they go down.
Yeah, Tonic with that giant reslider. Not sure how much special power up they're running, but with the recent patches buffing the damage radius of, or actually no, just the one-shot radius actually. So it would be a special power up that would get a huge 70 damage radius, because do keep in mind, even though the one-shot radius was increased, the 70 damage was specifically stated to not have been increased. But right now, both these teams kind of a bit of a stall fight in mid. Guess gonna pop that cooler for Stingrays. They actually, as we say that, they have taken it to the stall spot with 13 seconds remaining. Very comfortable lead for Stingrays, and Ufish really can't seem to get anything to get over to Goshu. A hammer throw possibly coming online, but no, Goshu sees it coming and will react accordingly and make sure they're riding their way into the victory in that corner. Stingrays will take game 1.
And I mean, putting the Rainmaker in that stall area was kind of it was kind of the story of the entire match, right? The Stingrays had Ufish's number for what seemed like the whole 5 minutes. Even when Ufish looked like they were in a prime spot for a push, the Stingrays knew how to wall them out, almost literally, to the point where we saw them in a neat little line in the middle. So all of a sudden, the Ufish has nothing to respond with whenever they do have that opportunity to do so. They had the picks, they had the specials, but apart from that, the Stingrays were cool, calm, and collected throughout the whole match.
Yeah, big shoutouts though to Tonic I'm thinking Whip Rays, that's the old team. Stingrays, they were the one always putting themselves into the enemy lines, getting a lot of picks, often trading out, but there was always putting down numbers that the Stingrays could really capitalize on. It was like they were the main source of aggression for Stingrays, as we will be getting set for game number 2, which is going to be Clam Blitz on Barnacle and Dime. Ufish trying to see what they have. Like, there's a lot of AoE in both of the teams' comps from that last match, and we'll have to see how either of these teams react accordingly if any changes are going to get made. But right now, I think Ufish's biggest point of pressure right now is they got to figure out how to deal with Tonic, or else they just are going to keep finding themselves in unfavorable scenarios, you know?
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, Tonic has been completely disruptive for Ufish, and the thing is with Ufish, the comp they had in the previous matchup, Clam Blitz, Barnacle, and Dime could be an especially good spot for them to take a game back because of their range. As soon as you set yourself up in front of that basket, you can use the Wellstring to protect any Clam carriers. You can use the Heavy Splatling to offer more protection, and yet you still have a Blaster there to protect ledges. I mean, this is working well. It should work out fairly well in Ufish's favor, but like you said, if Tonic comes in through the side, it goes ahead and takes 2-3 players down with him, then what good does it mean? Let's just go ahead and I was gonna come up with a sting like a butterfly, but I guess it's sting like a ray, so yeah, that solves it for me.
Yeah, definitely. Like, Ufish has a lot of AoE in their comps. They have the Wellstring, they have the Hammer, they have the Wave Breaker from the Splatling, they have, but so does the side of Stingrays with the X-Blaster, the Nautilus with the Storm, the Reslider from the Dapples, as we see the Ink Brush come out from Ufish, the staple, as you may, weapon from any Clam Blitz games in Open Queue that you may see, but we're also seeing the Crab Edit, and it's going to be a Tri-Nouveau versus Tri-Nouveau kind of game for this.
And that's an especially interesting pick. So what you do now, since Cookies already runs this Tri-Nouveau, you need to have something so that you avoid double cooler and any incoming conflicts. So you bring out the Crab and at least try to afford yourself more pressure from range. But when you're playing against the Stingrays, perhaps there's only so much you can do. I mean, look at how far up the Stingrays are, and we're only 40 seconds into the matchup. This has been the story for the rest of the set, so not surprised we're seeing it here, although Tonic finds himself in a very uncomfortable spot, to say the least. But we're still getting a few trades down the line, so maybe not all too bad for the Stingrays.
Yeah, Tonic very much a push forward and hold, but Pitoy is gonna get that pick on Tonic on the brush. Pitoy holding this front line there, even though the score has gone in. They do have the flow aura activated, but they have to be careful against this Nautilus and this Explo. Not have a lot of ink right now, and they're very low health, and they also have so many clams at their disposal. They want to make sure if they can possibly get a ball form for their team. But now they do what they could, and it has forced this fight back towards mid, as Goshu kind of hanging out in their street, trying to see if anything can get going. Tonic in the pit on the street, but no, here comes the reslider, and it's gonna find the edit, but they're gonna get shut down instantly. But like we said, it's just the find some, like, go and pick a fight, go pick somebody or two off, and go down yourself. It might not be the most optimal strat if you want to stay alive, but it works out a lot in Tonic's favor, and especially with Stingrays as they're gonna start pushing up again.
It's working out a lot because there's nobody to combat Tonic. There's nobody to fight him. As soon as Tonic finds himself deep within enemy territory, it almost seems like Oofish has no choice but to keep holding forward and hope that Tonic just happens to walk in front of him. But like you said, I mean, Tonic is more than willing to go in and see who they can take before they go down themselves. So it almost seems like it doesn't really matter. You do need to spot Tonic before Tonic becomes the problem. But either way, Oofish is starting to take care of business on their own side, get a few more picks to clear out their own territory. 2 players down, and with the crowd online, this should be enough help. You want to see that brush, or you want to see that blaster and that Tri-Slasher work with that crab. Unfortunately, you do see one player go down instead. So, Oofish, that's going to be the strategy. That's going to be the key for them the rest of the way through, with only half of the game gone.
Yeah, right now, Oofish is just kind of trying and struggling a little bit to try to see if they can get anything going. They're now finally actually getting, this is probably one of the highest places we may have seen Oofish push up right now. The Blaster trying to going, I'll try to read that name, but I don't think I can pronounce it. Tonic gonna be out by the pill. They're gonna get picked off, and it's just the Explode. This is the time for Oofish to push in and get a push started. Cooler goes out. First clam goes in, and here comes all the rest of the other clams. They need just one more to take this lead, and there's some that spawned right behind, right on Pitoy, who is probably the best candidate to go and run in and get those extra scores.
There we go.
Yeah, Tonic is managing to survive just barely. No specials online just yet. Actually, as I say that, here comes the Ink Storm. But 2 go down on the side of Stingrays. Oofish is starting to turn this game around. And right now we have to see if Guess with this Tri-Slasher very weak, but they do get the 1 pick before going down themselves. And it's just a lot of individual fights going off, but right now it's a matter of can Stingrays take this game back.
And the thing that set Oofish apart there from the rest of the game was that they knew how to follow up with one another. I just saw the Tri-Slosher from Oofish try to follow up on the pick that got the Ink Brush on their side, so all that follow-up means that you continue to keep these pushes going even when you're on the back foot there. So Oofish has the ingredients to keep this going. However, they do find themselves going a few players down there, but Toy on the side, getting splatted by Tonic, it certainly isn't going to help, especially with how far out the Stingrays are, and they have a power clam in tow as well, so see how these last 50 seconds play out for them.
Yeah, they do get that 1 clam in, and that is gonna be, there will be the lead swap for the Stingrays, and just by 1 though, it's a very small lead, and also Oofish's penalty is not that big, although they will need 1 power ball, and then I think actually 3 clams, because 2 clams will tie it because it will be +6. But here comes the Crab Tank right now, trying to hold this middle of the map right now, but the Blaster does go down, but in the Tri-Slasher are gonna find 2, looking for 3, will find the 3rd person, but they will go down themselves. Not, unfortunately, a little unfortunate, but that is also going to be a delayed wipe for Oofish. That very unfortunate situation for Oofish, but they still have a power clam in their hands. This is not out of the running just yet, but Oofish is going to have to pull up something really special, especially after going 2 down.
And what better way to pull something special than do it now? And you do go down 2 players. Tonic was able to take out a few, but there was also that Tri-Slosher. You're only halfway past overtime, but you are in dire straits. You're looking at how much teal you have to get through, and you're kind of forcing it here too. Cookie's trying to go for a pick on the side there, but nothing yet, as the Stingrays will take the majority of wins here in this playoff 3 set 2-0. The most important thing that we need to take away from this, Jay, is that this means the Stingrays go up to 3-1, Oofish going down to 2-2, which for any low-ink veteran or newbie, you have to know that 2-2 is a precarious spot to be in.
Yeah, definitely. Like, it definitely, if you're down 2-2, you really got to think to yourself, okay, we're down 2-2. If we lose one more, the chances of us even making Gamma bracket are very slim, because most times, like, it's 3-3, barely will make Beta, or not, pardon me, Gamma. But if you, at this point, you have to win out if you want to have a chance of making Beta bracket, or possibly a Alpha bracket if your group shifts the way it does, and with how tiebreakers may play out. But Stingrays, up 3-1 already, definitely in the driver's seat, kind of in charge of their own destiny. These next 2 sets for them are going to be pretty tough for them, especially with the fact that they're going to be going up against similar ranked opponents due to the nature of the Swiss stage that we do here in Low Ink. But they play very well. Tonic just being an aggressive little roach with that with those blue dapples, and it is the big X factor, honestly, for Stingrays. But you got to give credit where credit is due to the rest of the Stingrays roster. They are all pulling their weight as well, and they are just playing like a well-oiled machine. But Ufish does have a chance to put a dent in their confidence with this next game if they can take this next game on tower control Macomart. We'll have to see what happens here. If the brush may not have worked out exactly. We did see the brush try to go in for a cheeky solo play with Ufish, but they got shut down instantly. A lot of chances that often works in solo play, but it doesn't work as much as you would think in competitive play, especially with the more team-focused play that you always see.
And the main reason for that is that with team play compared to solo queue play, you can actually talk to your teammates and say, by the way, there's a brush to the side, so we should probably do something about that. So, another W for team play in case there was ever a debate to be had. But, regardless, we do have one more match to look forward to. Tower Control on Mako Mart. The Stingrays now have a much clearer and easier path to the Alpha bracket. Of course, it's not going to be easy, looking at all the other teams that are 3-1, 3-0, 4-0 now. Altruist beating out Breadbasket Fan Club, but lots to look forward to in this last match. With Stingray still up 2-0. Ufish going to try to take one back.
Yeah, but not a lot of comp changes from the side of Stingrays. Honestly, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But one thing I'm looking at, I believe it's the bronze paintbrush on Pitoy from Ufish. That's very interesting with the Zuka pick there. You don't see paintbrush a lot in comp, but honestly, this is the one paintbrush that you don't really see a whole lot. But now, as we say that, there comes a Zuka, not going to find anyone on that first shot, and they got to make these next 2 shots count, and they will make it count. Yes, they will 2 go down on the side of Stingrays, and Ufish gets this first one. But look out, here is Tonic in the backside. Nobody knows he's there, and he's going to get an easy double on this first check. Tonic, it's just being the thorn in Ufish's side that they just can't seem to get rid of, and it will start putting this tower back towards mid.
And who else but Tonic, the story of the matchup so far. But I also want to take a look at Guess here. Guess has been doing lots of heavy lifting on the side. Remember, we talked about Tonic. Guess is going to be on the side as well, but not to the extent that we're going to see a play come out of them right now. Ufish has the opportunity to, or at least continue to push the Stingrays back. They still need to have more of this follow-up. I noticed that they have all the right tools for it. They have the weapons for it as well. They have a blaster that can easily pair up with this paintbrush or pair up with that tri-slosher. And how much of a joy would have been to see it on that right stack to the side of the stream there, but we're not going to see that play happen just yet. 3 players going down for Ufish. The Stingrays still holding down the fort, the story of the set so far.
Yeah, very much so, and it's really a lot thanks mostly to Tonic, but you also, like, a lot of the other people. Guess gonna pop this cooler and trying to shark under this ledge, trying to avoid any crossfire. Will find Cookies to take down with him, but Stingrays, they're going to be back fast with that cooler. Goshu in the corner here, kind of pressured by the blaster, will trade out though, however. Guess already back towards this tower. Asri and Tonic, look at the attention he's grabbing on this far left side, and Asri has their back turned to the rest of Stingrays, and they will go down because of it. What an absolute job done by Tonic to keep just drawing so much attention. He's, like, really, as we keep saying, the star of this match so far.
And much credit to be given for the Stingrays for their positioning here. Jester able to back up Guess, Goshu, and Tonic on the left side of the map there with this Explosion. Great range, and you're going to put that to great work here in this matchup as you head towards the second checkpoint. Likely not going to be able to cover it then, but Goshu understands the assignment, or at least understands that you might still be able to sneak by a few points. Guess now leading the charge for the Stingrays. gaining a few picks on the board with the help of a splashdown. They've actually cleared the second checkpoint when a few minutes ago things looked desperate for the Stingrays.
Yeah, although as you say that, though, the blaster is up on the snipe, trying to, like, that demands so much pressure, especially in a tight quartered space like that second checkpoint. And there is the wipeout for Ufish. It is now, they have a lot of ground to cover in only 2 minutes to go. They have to get down to at least 13 if they want to get the lead back into their favor. But with how Stingrays are playing, they just cannot seem to be stopped, especially with Tonic always being the winner. Speaking of which, Tonic, I don't even see him on the map here, but from the looks of Ufish's directions, yeah, look at him, he's all the way in the back here. Nobody sees him. Here's the reslider. It's gonna find one, but he will go down to the splashdown. Tonic just drawing so much attention, and the Ufish keeps biting the bait every single time. And they always gets at least one person to boot with it almost every single time that we see this. But Patoy is very weak to this X-Blosher. A lot of AoE, we mentioned it, AoE on both sides of these teams. Patoy will go down. Tonic, but will get traded out as well. But it is kind of just a bit of a 2 each, but DBL will pass. They will break this first checkpoint for Ufish, but so much time has been burned off the clock. But watch out, Zuka alert incoming to your location. But right now the blaster, they are getting pinched. The splashdown will come out to try to prolong their life just a little bit, but it doesn't seem to be too much. But actually, as we say that, no, they are staying alive here a lot, and Jester will have to be forced to jump out.
I like the way the Stingrays are working here. It's almost like a work-from-home meeting here. Jester is currently leading the Zoom call. Goshu is trying to provide metaphorical drinks here. Guess and Tonic are currently leading the entire meeting by doing the rest of the talking for the Stingrays. And it's an excellent productive work meeting for him anyway, as Ufish approaches the second checkpoint, but they find their numbers going down quickly here with 20 seconds to go. Cookie's the only one left to lead this charge. Tonic going through this right stack here. 3 players already down for Ufish. The Stingrays have this game set and match, and it looks like it is going to be a complete sweep with 5 seconds to go. Ufish goes down in game 3. Stingrays take it 3-0.
Yeah, we keep saying, like, it's saying a lot. Like you said it earlier, Stingrays are playing very well, and it made me laugh with the Zoom call analogy, if you say. Very interesting to see how they play, but they are definitely in the driver's seat now. Like, one very clean sweep later, and they are looking at a potential place to put themselves into alpha bracket later on if they keep this momentum going, because honestly, I don't know if they can be stopped just looking at that. Ufish, like, they had so much tools at their disposal, but Tonic kept casting out lines, putting himself out of this bait, and they kept biting it every single time. We saw it especially in that last one. Tonic was off in the far left corner, drawing so much attention, and everybody was looking at him, and nobody was paying attention to the fact that the rest of the Stingrays were regrouping in mid, and Asri, we saw in the crab tank, did go down really quickly. I believe it was to the Tri-Slosher, but Stingrays, a very dominant showing, and really, honestly, very good show from what we've seen so far, and we'll have to see what's next for them.
And it's interesting to I'd like to bring up the records of the teams we're seeing in Group A, because right now the Stingrays are 3-1. But if you take a look at the Sendo page right now, you will also see what looks like 20 to 30 other teams at 3-1. So there is a easier path for them to get to alpha bracket. However, it is still a decently difficult path, at least compared to Ufish, who now has to climb a much higher mountain with that 2-2 record. But the Stingrays currently looking at almost the abyss. I mean, we're looking at some of the strongest teams to come out of the first 4 games, and we have 2 more to go, so all can happen within those next 2 games.
Yeah, definitely. So these next 2 rounds are just going to get more and more hectic, more and more tense as we go on. Most of these teams are looking at Group A right now. Only 2 teams remaining with a 4-0 record, that being Altruist and Neowave. Neowave also running on a perfect 12-0 record right now. And it is very interesting to see what is going to be in store for them. And looking over towards Group B, Daybreak, Weta, Pitzel per Inc, all currently also 4-0, but Weta and Daybreak also being 12-0. But a lot of other, like you said, 3-1 teams. It's going to be very curious to see how a lot of this is going to play out, because it's going to be very tense, especially for those like teams that often kind of break even or like go about 4-2 because only very limited spots for all of these brackets. Each group only has about 8 spots for each bracket to make. And so it's going to get very tense down the road here. However, we will be waiting for this next round to conclude, currently waiting on Group B. So don't go too far. We'll be right back with some more Low Ink on IPL soon.
Quicker one, name your favorite monthly holiday. If it isn't Low Ink, then you don't know enough monthly holidays. Trust me, that's not a thing I came up with a few seconds ago. But what I haven't come up with a few seconds ago is this Low Ink tournament. We are now on to round 5 of day 1 action. I'm Nino, joined by the one and only Electro J, and it is one heck of a matchup we've got now that we're heading into the late stages of day 1. We are looking at teams making a case for the alpha bracket, and now we have a team making a case for bow being a frontline weapon.
Very interesting you say that, and also the fact that their image is the PNG of angle shooter. You really could argue, like, I wouldn't be surprised if we see the bow trying to go up there, trying to dart you in the face, possibly jet you in the face, if it is going to be the inkjet bow variety. But the next team that they're going to be playing up against is Undersea Spectacle. Looking at the brackets, this is a very interesting seed matchup. Bow is a frontline, currently seed 13 in the tournament right now. Undersea Spectacle, seed 87. it is a very interesting to see, but both teams are currently riding a 3-1 record. Undersea Spectacle going 9-3 in matches, but Bo is the front line having the edge with a 10-2 match record. It's going to be very interesting to see what this next match has in store, because it very is likely whoever wins this next match probably might secure a place in Alpha Bracket, or at least High Beta.
I will say, though, I'm not surprised to see the auto-seeding put Bo as a front line as one of the top teams here. This is a CCA pick, partially a CCA pickup, so a lot of collegiate teams a lot of collegiate players are going to see here. For example, Jesse is from Splatlanders, from the New Jersey Institute of Technology, and Golonka here from Reef Runners, a team that is representing the West Coast as of, well, now, hopefully, but regardless, Bo's a front line. Let's go ahead and see what your case is today. Oh, wow, that is an interesting composition. We don't have bows. We also have wipers and stampers and ringers.
You do say that, and also we're looking at the custom Dowser dualies from Neuro on the side of Undersea Spectacle, and also another Carbon Roller. After seeing a bunch of Carbon action lately, especially in a bunch of other tournaments, namely SOS, but right now we did load into Robo Ramen zones, and it seems to be, it's a bit of a kind of a stalling match right now on the heavy splat lane. One of the buffed weapons recently, the bubble coming out, but no, Disco's gonna immediately say, nope, here comes the Reef Slider. Jesse with this bow, we did say bow is the front line. We do see the bow, and here comes the Inkjet. Bluey very low on health, and they will go down to the Inkjet. Neuro also low on health to this Inkjet, but they do manage to survive it, but it might depend. No, they will go down very quickly after. And it is right now Bo's the front line. They are the ones holding in control of the zone, but haven't been able to get a lot of points because Undersea Spectacle is really giving them a run for their money on their ability to hold the zone firmly.
One thing I always like to point out is the positioning of both teams. While Bo's front line has control of the zone, it doesn't seem like they have a control of the game. They've been stuck in the middle for the duration of that zone. While they have 56 remaining, it didn't look like a confident 56 remaining. It didn't look like a confident push, so I'd love to see what Undersea Spectacle has in store for Bo as a front line. I mean, it is enough to work with a comp as unorthodox as Double Sword, Bo, and Red Ringer. But again, Bo as a front line, you have a point to prove here, and I want to see how you prove that point as Bluey just barely misses out on the Re-Slider extravaganza going on top of him.
Yeah, as you said, though, but watch out, here comes Bluey in the side of the corner, but no, that Jet will run out just before they can find that pick on Bluey. Right now, it's just Apple Pie trying to hold the top bridge here, the elbow, if you may, but Bluey, with this Zuka, has a chance to if they get some angles lined up, they could really put a lot of damage, but no, that's not needed exactly. Undersea Spectacle gets back into control of the zone, but not before Bo's the front line can recontest it and put it back into their control. Golonka trying to get this pick on the Wiper, will find the pick onto Neuro, and it's one down for each side, but for Bo's the front line, that is the Bo down, but now two go down for Bo's the front line. But Bluey has to watch out for this Booyah Bomb, and they will go down to it. Not what you want to see for Undersea Spectacle. A bit of an easily avoidable Booyah Bomb, but unfortunately they do go down, and it is still Bo's frontline zone to control.
For all of my CCA fans out there, Collegiate Splatoon fans, you are not surprised to see Golonka trying to take the initiative here. Kazuza with a double from that Reef Slider. That was incredible work there. Bo is a front line looking much more confident here. Look at where they are positioned in terms of the map. I mean, they have full control of what Undersea Spectacle has, sees all of their drops, and this should be a game-sealing push for Bo, and it certainly will be. Not much time left on the clock, and certainly less points left on the map. Bo's the front line takes game one.
Yeah, very interesting to see. Actually, we didn't even mention this. Both teams did not even have cooler on them. Both were playing coolerless, but Bo is a front line. You did say it earlier, their initial holds were a little questionable at best, but they eventually found their bearings. They found the picks that they needed, and especially were able to find a way to control the zone much better, and they will take game one, and we are going to be shifting over to Rainmaker Undertow Spillway for game number 2. Undersea, despite, honestly, I thought Undersea could have had the paint advantage, but although it was a Heavy versus Dreadicus, especially with all the paint buffs Heavy has gotten recently, but that didn't seem to be the case. Bo as the front line gets gets the win and the first game of this series. Honestly, one of the more pivotal games. Honestly, that first game, and especially in a play all 3 set like this, is really crucial because it can help determine the momentum of possibly the entire series.
Right, and Funny enough, this is all stuff you're going to be seeing showcased next week as the CCA League gets started later on in the month. But as for now, not surprised to see what the students from Splatlanders and Cal Poly Pomona are able to bring to the table here. Like I said, Rainmaker, Undertow, Spillway coming up next. I do want to see how this composition manifests in a map that is just about as unorthodox as the comps we've seen. Undertow, Spillway as a map that I've seen cause trouble for lower level teams that don't necessarily practice it or understand how the geometry of it works as much as other maps, because you do have, I'm sure many of us know, we do have our flatter maps. You do have the Hagglefishes of the world, the Barnacle and Dimes of the world. Then you go to a map like Undertow Spillway, and all of a sudden there's a lot more angles and ledges to work from. So see how these teams come up with a solution there. Undersea Spectacle, on the other hand, does have the keys to winning this game, and I saw some of it in that first push against Bros of Frontline there. You are keeping them well intact, but it might have also been the fact that Bros of Frontline knew when to hold themselves back. But of course, lots to see in this game too.
Yeah. Kind of on the topic of geometry that you were talking about there, Nito, one thing that Bows of Frontline might have advantage of if they decide to stick with this double sword comp is those ledges. There's a ton of more ledges, especially on a game, or on a map like Undertow Spillway, and those are ledges that these swords can hop and get some vertical slash pokes on. As a Stamper main myself, ledges are honestly your best friend, especially if the other team doesn't have that best of a way to try to pressure you. And we see the Dynamo Roller come out on Kudzu from both Frontline. There is the double sword, but also the ballpoint and the ink brush on the side of Undersea Spectacle.
If all else fails, throw a Dynamo at it. That seems to be one of the most universally recognized solutions to a problem in competitive Splatoon, at least since the Dynamo buff. If you tried that earlier, you'd probably get laughed at, but now it's no joke, it's no laughing matter. Dynamo is the weapon to have on your comp. But that being said, Undersea Spectacle currently on the back foot here. Both the Frontline has 3 players down on their side. What is going on? It almost seems like I've been worried too much about my own words and not what's going on the screen there as Jesse gets to the first pedestal. All of this happening very quickly. Golonka now with 2 picks on this stamp. Make it 3. Can we make it a 4th? That Dowser still up until they're not. And that is a KO all within 51 seconds.
All I can say is wow. Bows of Frontline, they saw the Dynamo, probably the Dynamo buff came in handy, but they see the ballpoint, they see the brush, and they just say, nah, I'd win. But Bows of Frontline takes this set overall on a 2-0 victory. I honestly, so much was happening so fast that even at points it was a little harder for me to try to figure out what was going on because so many people go down, but we did see the Wiper was way in behind enemy lines with that hammer. It did get the double, they got the flow aura, and I believe they got eventually the final pick with a hammer throw potentially, even though it was a bit off camera. But that was all that Bows of Frontline needed to just simply snowball their way into a victory. Rainmaker Undertow can be also sometimes a bit of a snowballing map if the team if things go just right, but it worked very much for Bows of Frontline's favor. And kind of like what we said with the last set with Stingrays and Ewfish, Undersea Spectacle, they may not have won the set, but their chances of making a bracket are still very high. They're going to be going into the penultimate round 6 on a 3-2 record, which is probably a good case for them, but they probably will want to make sure that they want to win that next match. Bows of Frontline, very strong case for potentially making alpha bracket, because we're definitely at the point of this tournament where bracket implications are much more important than they were before. But now we have to go to Clan Blitz Museum de Alfonsino to see how the game 3 of this set will play out.
And I failed to mention this earlier, Disco is a member of WPI Grisco Workers Union. So again, all of this and more on the first week of the CCA League coming away next week. Certainly not a shield for anything, but we do have one more game to look forward to. Clan Blitz on Museum D'Alfonzino. There is, you spoke on most of the points I was going to get out of that second match. It's just that all of it happened so fast that to say it happened within 51 seconds is an understatement. Golonka there with the stamp takes care of 3. Dowser Doolies goes down, it's a wipe. And then the pedestal, I feel like that's a game, set, and match. So if that's any indication of how fast this team can completely wash you over, Lamblitz is going to be very exciting to see and very interesting to see for Undersea Spectacle, who now have quite a few adjustments to make.
Yeah, definitely. So we did see Undersea Spectacle try to bring out their own Inkjet to try to combat Jesse's Inkjet from Bo as a frontline. It's very interesting that Bo as a frontline also, like we saw on their splash, I just saw on their splash tag there, I wanted to make a note of this. They have the 10-star Bulbs Tri-Stringer badge. These weapons haven't been out for a very long time. I only just managed a 5-star sticker stamper a few weeks ago, but there are people out here who have already 10-starred some of these new third kits. I gotta say, that's dedication. But that aside, actually Jesse is the first to go down. Oh, it's a DC. Never mind then.
Bo is a disconnect.
Yeah, Bo is not having a good Wi-Fi connection. I can say that, but it was very early on in the game, so that both teams is going to be a replay, as we are going to be having to wait until Jesse can get back into this game. I don't know if Nintendo was hearing me was saying the 10-star Jet Bow. They say like, oh, you want to see the 10-star Jet Bow disconnect? Sure, but we'll have to see what happens there. Both these, we did see the comps though already, so we know what's gonna be going on for both these teams. We'll have to see how they will play out against each other, especially on a match like this. We did say, we were talking about like ledges and terrain and everything. Clan Blitz Museum does have some more of that terrain, but a little bit more not at an advantage for swords, especially as we were talking about that. Really, there's only one spot I could think of up by the ramp, and there is the ink brush. No changes. We actually see 3 Slayers, honestly, from Undersea Spectacle. I'm looking at this and I'm wondering, paint is going to be an issue for Undersea here.
Just throw everything at the swords. I mean, you may as well. You are down 2-0, and while this third game can still have tiebreaker implications for you, you're also looking at this and thinking, all right, we have some, we're close to nothing to lose. But that being said, Bo is a front line, already well ahead, already next to this clam basket. It's been 30 seconds. They have a power clam. They sure do. They have the basket open. They sure do. Do they have more points to follow up with? Maybe not right now, but they sure do.
Yeah, very much so. But however, they don't have a lot more economy after this Clam Blitz, but they do find those extra 2 clams to put in the basket. Ana with this ballpoint trying to fend off anybody, but there's still only 1 clam picked up from the wiper, and they will put it in to extend the timer by an extra 3 seconds. But no, Kudzu, just a little bit too late for those extra clam throws, and the basket will close. 65 is honestly a pretty good start for Bo as a front line, but honestly, especially with how much you can get on sides for economy, can be changing really fast. But Undersea Spectacle doesn't have any claims to their name still. But right now, Bo is a front line, and they have only just the Powerball, actually. But right now, both sides just trying to see what they can try to find. But honestly, economy is not looking good for either team.
No, absolutely not. And when you lose numbers like that, it's not looking any better either. But here's Jesse, who still has a point to be making about this Bo. If it's not the Bo, it's certainly going to be the Jet that gets 1 pick. But that means Bo as a front line is now down 3 players after Apple is able to take the trade from that Bo. Undersea Spectacle, that being said, they haven't gotten past this middle part of the map yet. Bo as a front line has been holding them back for the longest time, and even when the brush, is able to break this middle line, it doesn't last too long as you're quickly shut down. Bo is a front line doing tremendous amounts of work here with everything they have at their disposal and shutting down Undersea Spectacle.
Yeah, I did mention this earlier at the beginning of the game, but I want to bring up or kind of reiterate it. Paint currently is the one thing I might want to make as a case of why Undersea Spectacle is not pushing up too far is that they have very little paint. Carbon doesn't paint much. Inkbrush doesn't honestly paint much. It's much more for rolling around, trying to see if they can find any picks. Ballpoint's paint is good, but with it being like the main source of paint for Undersea Spectacle, even though the Dowsers have very good range and everything, the paint is not very optimal for the Dowser dualies, and we see Bluey and his other teammate. But here comes the Carbon, gonna find 2, but here comes the Jet as well. Galanka gonna have to find a way to back up with, especially with 6 clams to their name. But right now, this paint advantage is definitely in Bo's frontline's favor, even though the Dread and Bo honestly have a good amount of paint. But it seems to be what they need, honestly, to keep this game in control. Neuro on the top spinner with those Dowser dualies, trying to see if they can get anything. Kudzu with the slider, gonna not find anybody and go down themselves. But That's 3 people on the plat for Undersea Spectacle, and everybody else in mid for Bo's frontline. But you gotta watch out, because here comes Undersea Spectacle with the Jet, with the Killer Whale. But here comes that Hammer, is gonna find one, but he might find 2, but no, he will not find the second.
Polanco, who are you kidding? There's only so much you can do with that Hammer before Undersea Spectacle decides they're finally going to start catching you out on that. But that being said, Undersea Spectacle did, like you mentioned, Undersea Spectacle certainly had something going there. You alluded to it with the way you were talking about it earlier, but look where they're at now. They're 2 players down. They're actually backed up to their own basket. Bo's frontline has free reign over the spin area, and although they still have these strikes to look forward to, they're not down to just 1 player. It's just the Dowser being left to hold things down for Undersea Spectacle. Polanco here, all they have to do is just throw some more clams in whenever they're able to. Maybe throw a hammer at it. Hammer while you're at it. Go up to these grates and get some more points on the board. Bo is a front line, almost literally just kind of walking around and doing whatever they want to that clam basket.
Yeah, right now it is just all Bo's the front line right now. Undersea Spectacle, the economy is very much in their favor. 20-8 right now against Bo's the front line. But it's really a matter of, can they convert on this? Disco gonna find the Powerball. Here comes the Jet from Ana. And, oh, there's a sneak jump in behind, though, as you say that. They will crash in. They will find, it is going to be a big pinch. Bluey is going to be going down here any second, possibly. There goes the pick. But that is just, it was so, the push looked so promising, especially with the amount of economy that Undersea Spectacle had. But a big pinch flank from Bo's frontline shut everything about that down. And right now, here comes Disco with this Powerball. They have the chance to end the ball, but no, it hits the top rim of the basket, but they will reconvert on take 2 is going to be a yes, and Bo's front line will close out the series in a clean sweep.
So now we have Bo's front line at 4-1. Altruist and Neowave are currently facing off. They're the only 4-0 teams to look forward to, although Altruist is going to win that set, make it 5-0. So Bo's front line in pretty good hands and in very good company here. When it comes to prospects of Alpha Bracket, or what their odds look like here. Looking at Undersea Spectacle, they are 3-2. This is what I call the proverbial no man's land of Low Ink. Now you're staring at the abyss, and you need to get that next win. Otherwise, your chances go from slim to none. But even 4-2. It's a scary place to be in Low Ink. But that being said, Jay, this was Bo's Frontline's world. We were just living in it.
Honestly, yeah, they kept controlling the game all the time. They had better positioning. They had a lot of extra paint, especially over Undersea Spectacle. Paint may not have been the biggest issue as may have thought, but just the place of where they needed it was definitely a bit kind of against them. But Undersea Spectacle is going to have to look to the next match. We will have to see who they're going to play, but a 3-2 record right now. Currently, as of the current standings right now, which are still going to be updating as we're going because every team has not finished a lot of teams have not finished their match. We look in Group B. Only 2, actually, am I reading this right? 4 teams have only finished their matches. 1 team Order of Alt F4 with the bye, but most teams already up 2-0. We see some 3-0s. We see 1-1s. We'll have to see how either all those teams are going to play out, but kind of going back to Undersea Spectacle, if brackets ended right now, they would be one of the first seed of their group to go to Gamma Bracket, but like we did just say, everybody is still playing a bunch of matches, so we'll have to see what it's going to be like once everything's said and done. But Undersea, they are going to have to pull something out really special, because if they win this, it's definitely going to be a win-in scenario for at least a kind of bracket. Not sure if it's going to be Beta Bracket or Gamma Bracket. Probably might be more Gamma, especially with how competitive this Low Ink is. But we'll have to see what's going on, and Bo's the front line. We'll have to look to see who their next opponent is to see if they can possibly secure a spot in Alpha Bracket.
Right, and with that being said, there are still a handful of matches to look forward to in round 5, so we're going to be taking a short break. When we come back, it is going to be the last round of day 1, round 6, where you're going to see a lot of teams making last-minute pushes, so don't go anywhere. We'll be back with more Low Ink action on IPL.
All right, so Nito, since we started commentating, we've seen a disconnect, we've seen 2 3-0 sweeps, we've seen Bo become a frontline, but now one last match to be played, and this is probably one of the most important. This is easily one of the most important matches for both these teams. It is going to be Ascension Rising versus Black Squid Ink Burger. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to round 6 of Low Ink Day 1. It is the final round of the day, and honestly, like we just said, probably one of the most important ones that we have seen, because both of these teams are going to be vying for a precious spot in potentially alpha bracket. Nito, what do you think is going to go down here?
Well, here's the thing. We're at round 6. These two teams are 3-2. And 4-2, like I said, is no man's land for any team looking to make it to alpha bracket. So what you want to do is come in here with all guns, just go all guns blazing. Good news is that Black Squid Ink Burger has all the experience in the world. They're one of the most well-tenured teams in all of competitive Splatoon, but Ascension Rising has a very solid roster, at least from what we've seen in the past and what they've been able to bring to the table in previous Low Inks. 13th in November 2025, they were 29th in December 2025, and also on the side of Black Squid Ink Burger, multiple alpha bracket appearances throughout all of 2025, so lots to see from both of these teams, and certainly there's no bounds to what they were going to be able to bring out to the table.
Yeah, both of these teams have a very illustrious backgrounds. They have what it takes to prove that they can belong up in the top dogs of alpha brackets. We are going to be getting set for game number 1. We see another tri-stringer on the side of Ascension Rising. We also see the custom Range Blaster and Ink Brush on the side for Splats. For Squid Ink Burger, it's kind of a more typical comp. You'd see the roller, actually. You don't see a lot of rollers, but there's the first trade of the game. It is going to be the CRB and the 52 gal.
And with Black Squid Ink Burger, they're running something that's more conventional. You see 2 shooters, a pencil, and a roller, which is somewhat unorthodox, but certainly not something you wouldn't expect to come out of a team in today's competitive Splatoon world. So look at Little Whip on the top of the screen there. Only one within a country mile there takes out Emmy there, but Rocket able to clean things up. Black Squid Ink Burger has all the experience in the world, but that's not to say Ascension Rising doesn't have something to bring to this table, because they certainly do. A lot of them, Rocket especially, with a deeper knowledge of the game. Rocket, as you all might know, a frequent commentator here in IPL and other events around the competitive Splatoon world.
Yeah, a lot of these people definitely have made a name for themselves on and off the pitch. Little Whip going to throw out these strikes. The Splats is going to drop down. The Splats kind of really opting to take a lot of off angles. Little Whip is going to find themselves splatted before they can try to take out Kitty on this tri-stringer. But that is enough for them to get a lead swap for them as well. But Ascension Rising is crashing. Ascension Rising takes the tower. But they have to be very careful here, especially with this 52 gal in the middle of the map here. They got to be very careful, because that thing kills you very fast. Especially with some of the previous shot velocity buffs that it got. It's going to find the Kraken cancel on Emmy, and Kitty's off in the corner. They will find themselves on the opposite end that they don't want to be on the 52 gal.
Right. And with Black Squid Ink Burger certainly making away, they're going to need to look out for Splats on the brush here. Look at Splats. Got to be something to watch out for Callium here, because you're going to go down very quickly if you don't, just like we saw early, just like we saw right there. Taka able to get the best of Splats, but the damage is already done for this team. There's still a few people trying to make away. Actually, I have to point out, Little Whip was deep within enemy territory there. It's also because of that 52 gal was able to help him out. But that's what I like about Black Squid Ink Burger. Certainly not afraid to take these risky gambles, and most of them have been paying off throughout this matchup. So even when they went quite a few players down, with that jump, you were still able to keep the pressure on Ascension Rising. So we'll hope to see more of that as we progress through the match.
Yeah, Splats finding one pick onto one. It's going to find a second pick with this hammer. They're going to keep going with this hammer. Splats being a big X Factor. They're going to find a hammer throw onto Callium and going to get that flow aura activated. Emmy with the CRB. They can command so much space, especially under any ledges. But look out on the side of Black Squid Ink Burger. This 52 Gal has been off on the side, and Kitty has to be careful with where they're going, because he is still sharking, he's still lurking, but he is not gonna get the splat onto one. Rocket gonna find one, might find a second one here. He's gonna help out his teammate Emmy, but they will go down. Rocket, now it's their turn to get full aura, but Taco with the bubble, or Take rather, actually, excuse me. They will start progressing this tower back towards mid, but Rocket is there to keep it progressing more towards. Here comes the hammer from Splats underneath that tent. They got to be careful where they might be, but Take, they also have to be careful. Kitty does sniff out Take's hiding spot, but right now it is trying to see what they can do. 52 Gal has the aura activated, and it is going to be a bit more of a stall fight again here. Splats trying to see if they can find this pick onto 52 Gal, but they cannot.
It's been a stall for both of these teams so far, and with a minute to go, it almost seems like Black Squid Ink Burger is comfortable leaving this 49 remaining where it is. I did see some more aggression from the earlier stages of the game. We'll see if we can see more of that within 1 minute of the match, but maybe we don't need to, because they're already, Essential Rising is already 3 players down. That's a wipe, closed out by this 52 Gal on the side of Black Squid Ink Burger. 50 seconds to go, and look at where they're at. They're doing it very well, trying to cover as much ground as they can, get it all the way up in enemy territory, but have to watch out for that brush once again. Okay, might actually see it coming here. Kaylee, do they see it as well? Maybe not, because the blaster is right in front of them. They have double trouble from 2 sides of the map, but they cleaned it up very well there, covered a second checkpoint.
Yeah, and Take is sitting up there up by the tent. Everybody's jumping in for Black Squid Ink Burger, and right now it's Kitty trying to see if they can get anything. Splats is going to go down to the roller. Kind of not the exact matchup that you want to take, especially against something like that. But Ascension Rising, they do have a bit of life in them. There's a wipeout, and under 10 seconds remaining on this clock. They're going to have to make sure they're on the tower to be sure to trigger overtime here. But it is now their turn to try to see if they can get a push going. They're going to have to get a lot going for them if they want to take a win back in the series. They have a lot of specials at their disposal. Here comes the hammer from Splats. Here comes the strikes as well. They still have the whale and the kraken as well, but no, Take is gonna pull off the flank and find their way onto the tower. Black Squid Ink Burger steals game 1 back from Ascension Rising's noses.
And it looked confident from Black Squid Ink Burger. I mean, past that halfway point, past the minute marker, they even added more points after I said, okay, things look a little stall-worthy here in the middle. Things look like they haven't really progressed from either side. Too bad! Black Squid Ink Burger finds 3 players, finds a wipeout, and all of a sudden they're deep within enemy territory, and they have all the advantages in the world that they could have at that moment. So Black Squid Ink Burger certainly taking advantage of what was a wide open map after that wipeout, and that's what I like to see from teams within low ink. So I want to see if they have those opportunities and they take advantage of them so well, that this next match, Splat Zones of Barnacle and Dime, could prove to be very helpful for them.
Yeah, right now it's a bit of do or die territory for Ascension Rising, especially with the alpha bracket hopes. But not only is this win pivotal to possibly secure them a possible spot, this is still a theoretical alpha bracket spot, because once you're gonna get a 4-2 record. You're either gonna get alpha bracket or beta bracket, honestly, depending on what the tiebreakers are. Because at that point, you just have to sit there and honestly pray that the tiebreakers will go into your favor, because there's a lot of tiebreakers to be said. You have your losses against tied opponents, your opponent win percentage, your match win-loss record, and your opponent's map win percentage average, as well as a bunch of the tiebreakers that you have for all of these possible ways to get yourself a higher placement above other teams at the same record as you. But one other thing too to mention, both of these teams are sitting on 3-2 records. They are currently in Group B, because we are in Group B for this match. They are the top 3 teams with a 3-2 record. Both are sitting in beta bracket, just a few spots shy of an alpha bracket placement, but there's a lot of 4-1 teams above them, and there's also still a 5-0 team. That team is definitely going to be securing their spot in alpha bracket. Wet Up is the team in question, 15-0 record. Nobody seems to be able to stop them, but both of these teams, 1, they have to win the set, and 2, they honestly have to hope that everything goes into their favor to possibly secure them a spot in alpha bracket.
the one thing I like about Black Squid Ink Burger is that they play so fast after getting a numbers advantage as big as a 3 down or a wipe situation. So Barnacle and Dime was as flat as it is and as much as it allows for that kind of movement. I believe this game 2 is going to be one where they could seal the deal, but Ascension Rising needs to be able to take that same level of advantage. Otherwise, it's going to be very rough for them this next match.
Yeah, we do see that. We see the Super Chump Bow come out from the side of Ascension Rising, and we see the Zuka Mini Splatling on the side of Squid Ink Burger. I almost got myself confused. I think there's a bit of a mix-up in the colors here. But Black Squid Ink Burger will get first cap of the zone, but Splat's already going back in behind, gonna find one. But that is 3 down for Squid Ink Burger, and that is going to be a lead swap. And actually, no, as I say that, that is a wipeout for Ascension Rising. This is their time to especially make sure they keep this really up high. We saw Splats lay down an Ink Mine right on that tiny little ramp there. They're way up behind enemy lines, trying to see if they can get anything. They will find the pick on the roller in the back, but that seems to be possibly a chance, an opening, if you may, for Black Squid Ink Burger. But watch out for Emmy's Crack, and Whip is trying to do what they can, but they can't escape from Ascension Rising. And it is a firm hold right now from AR as Black Squid Ink Burger is trying to see what they can do to get back into the zone.
Ascension Rising's pick on the roller was huge at that moment, because when Black Squid Ink Burger moved in to try to get Ascension Rising off of their backs, they had one less player to work with, and in that position where they were would have been huge to have them where they were, but unfortunately it doesn't work out for Ink Burger. Ascension Rising making the most out of a situation like that. If they can keep that up for the rest of this matchup, they're going to be in great shape, but Black Squid Ink Burger currently piling up the numbers here, already at 58 remaining, and it's going to continue unless Splats has anything to say about it. They do have a hammer online and on standby. They're able to get one pick for it. Can we see another? We're not going to see it soon enough because that hammer expires and they are back in control.
Yeah, it was a very good retake from Ascension Rising. Probably not as fast as they wanted it to be, but it was still a retake. But as we say that, 2 go down from Black Squid Ink Burger, especially in assisting from Whip's Azuka. And here comes Take with this roller, is gonna find Rocket, but the strikes do come out, but only 2 come out. That third one does not come out, and it was not, even if it was, well, the first one was not exactly on target on the zone. Black Squid Ink Burger back in control of the zone, and they have a pretty good hold right now, but Take is going to be taking a lot of damage to Ascension Rising's bow. But with Izuka ready, they have a lot of space that they can command. They will find the kitty on Izuka. Here comes the hammer. Here comes that Kraken. And Whip is going to have to back up themselves up. Splats finds one with the roller, or with the Ultra Stamp rather, and is going to be trying to see if they can get the paint. But it looks like it's just him versus the pencil, and Brush versus pencil is not a fight that can really be won. But no, here comes the gal from Squid Ink Burger. They will find the whale, but a penalty did get tacked on to Squid Ink Burger. But now it is kind of Ascension Rising still on the back foot here. Nito, they have to find something really special if they want to try to get this game back into their control.
And I don't know if I've seen anyone work the angles quite as well as I've seen that 52 work the angle in that fight where they nearly collected 3 players on the side of Ascension Rising, but Ink Burger looking as clean as ever before. This is the Ink Burger we saw in the last game, and it's what we're seeing right now. Ascension Rising has a very limited time. They're gonna have to force something out of it. But for a team that's been struggling so far to take advantage of these advantages, the last thing you want to do is force something out of thin air. And that results in a 2-0 win. 2-0 for Black Squid Ink Burger. Ascension Rising has one more game to go, but the score has been pretty much settled here.
Yeah, right now, I think, honestly, this third game will be one very important. It'd be very important for Black Squid Ink Burger to win, because this could have tiebreaker implications if they manage to take this third game, which is going to be on Rainmaker Scorch Gorge. Like, Black Squid Ink Burger, they already take the set. That's already a big win for them. That definitely puts them in the running for possibly making Alpha Bracket. But getting that extra win can be, even though it's one of the later tiebreakers that are in the for low ink bracket tiebreakers. But if they win this could be very, very important for them, especially once everything is said and done and the dust settles, especially with how rowdy round 6 of groups can be. But Ascension Rising, they will have to unfortunately settle with the possible fact that not only will they probably get either beta or gamma, probably more gamma, but there's also a chance if tiebreakers don't go in their favor, they could be having themselves looking on the outside looking in rather. It's going to be very interesting to see how both of these teams are going to get impacted once round 6 is all finished.
One more match to go. Rainmaker on Scorch Gorge. Still a map and mode I see highly favoring Black Squid Ink Burger. I mean, they've been exceptionally mobile. They've been exceptionally ambitious with their pushes. So I could see this going similarly to how the last 2 games have gone. Ascension Rising, though, they brought a lot more to the table in that second match. They still have the opportunity to take one back in in game 3. So I want to see what adjustments they bring to the table. I mean, looking at it, it looked like they were the first ones to have all their adjustments done, if there were any. But regardless, game 3 coming up right now. Rainmaker on Scorch Gorge.
Yeah, honestly, kind of saying on that, it did look like, I honestly thought Ascension Rising had that second game down, but no, Black Squid Ink Burger refound their footing and were able to bring it back. And we do see the Glamour splatter shot on the side of Black Squid Ink Burger and the heavy splatling from Callium. They are going to be ditching that cooler, but that's going to put them in a bit of a disadvantage because Kitty is going to switch from bow to pencil. But here comes the 52 gal on the right side. That's 2 down for for Ascension Rising, and actually make that 3. The gal's gonna find the jump onto Splats, and that is gonna be the first checkpoint already. Just not even half a minute in, and Black Squid Ink Burger is already getting a good lead in.
Right, and it looks like they've already dealt well into Ascension Rising territory. They are this close to getting the KO, but this wipeout might certainly seal things for them. 2 players left to pick up this Rainmaker. Splats is the only one who can defend against it. They go down very quickly here, and this is a lot like what we saw in round 5, Jay. I mean, this was less than 51 seconds, I'll give it that, but Black Squid Ink Burger, as quickly as we were introduced to game 3, ends game 3 with a 3-0 sweep.
That was like, I thought that the Undertow Rainmaker we saw earlier was fast. Black Squid Ink Burger said, how about we do you one better, honestly. I was not thinking, like, it was a big pick from, especially the original triple from, it looks like it was the 52 gal, because I don't think I can pronounce their name, honestly, for Black Squid Ink Burger. They found 2, they got the ore, and then they caught Splats' jump as they were jumping back to try to find, because they were way out of position. And honestly, I think that was the catalyst for that giant snowball that Black Squid Ink Burger did, as they find themselves really honestly hoping and praying that destiny swings into their favor going into this, as all the standings are going to be updating as we go. Looks like they were honestly one of the first teams actually to finish in Group B, but we'll have to see what is going to be happening. Ascension Rising, they are still seated up pretty high, honestly. Looking at the group right now, if I can find them, that is actually. Ascension Rising, they are still sitting in a position to possibly make Gamma Bracket, but it is a very low seeding for them right now, and it is not the position they are wanting, because their tiebreakers are kind of a bit in their favor. They didn't lose against any current 3-3 opponents. They have a pretty high opponent win percentage, and they did, on an 8-10 match win record. Tiebreakers could possibly screw them over, could possibly bless them. We'll have to see. As for Black Squid Ink Burger, we'll have to look at this here. They are currently still seeded for beta bracket right now, but also no losses against other 4-2 opponents, but all the matches are still finishing up. Not as high as an opponent win percentage as Ascension Rising, but they do have more match wins than Ascension Rising did. But we'll have to see what they are doing. They have definitely, I do believe they will firmly make beta bracket, but hopefully they might have to see what will happen if they can possibly get to alpha bracket. As we're looking more at Group B, Wet Up getting another 3-0. That is a completely undefeated day 1 for Wet Up on this side of Low Ink for Group B. As we look over to Group A possibly as well, Altruist picking up another win, also going 6-0. 2 6-0 teams, one from each side, but Wet Up definitely has the bragging rights over Altruist because they did not drop a single game.
Right, and what this results in is what's going to be an interesting day too, because of the absolute raw power, raw talent, and raw power that we're gonna have in day 2. Looking at, obviously, you're gonna have your 6-0 teams. You're gonna have lots of 5-1 teams to look forward to as well from both sides. The Stingrays being a team that we saw earlier from Group 1, but lots to look forward to in day 2, and certainly no shortage of action if you're a fan going to be tuning in on Sunday. But as for us, that is going to be it for the day 1 competition. Day 1 is well, not totally concluded, but it's on its way to reaching its end. But as for us, that is going to be it. I've been Nito. He's been Jay. We're still going to be Nito and Jay, but that's going to be the end of our block. Is there any place the good people of the internet can find you?
Well, most times you're going to be seeing me a lot on Blue Sky on EJ46SPL. You might also see me on Twitter as ElectroJ46, or anywhere else that you just might stumble across. But other than that, Nito, where can the community find you?
NitoNews.bsky.social and Nito News on Twitch in the rare occasion that I do stream. And you can also find me at the CCA Division Reveal Show tomorrow at 7. So, again, fans of Collegiate Splatoon, you're gonna want to tune into that. And if you're not a fan of Collegiate Splatoon just yet, you're certainly more than welcome to. And last but certainly not least, we're gonna be tuning into day 2 of Low Ink. Lots of action to be looking forward to, but as for us, that's going to be it. Thank you for joining us for day 1 of Low Ink. Day 2 heading your way tomorrow afternoon. Don't go anywhere. We're going to have that live here on IPL.